Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of There's Still Time, the AFTN Soccer Show, broadcasting on CITR Radio 101.9 FM from the unceded Musqueam Territory at the University of beautiful and very, very wet British Columbia. I'm Michael McCall.
And I'm Zachary Eisenhammer.
And we often say we've got a packed show to kick things off. We talk about it being a feast of football. But my, oh my, this weekend was a veritable feast of football. There's just so much football to talk about. I don't know that we can get it all covered in a 2-hour episode. I know what people are thinking. Your episodes are only 2 hours now? No, well, that's what we aim for every week. Sometimes, like the last episode, it's over 3 hours. And that, incidentally, was with me cutting out a full interview and a full part. Otherwise, we'd have been over 4 hours. But no, we've got Major League Soccer to talk about. CONCACAF Champions League. MLS Next Pro. Canadian Premier League. The Canadian Championship. The Under-20 CONCACAF qualifiers for the women. The Gold Cup. The Provincial Cup. I mean, we won't probably get into all of that.
Can I make suggestions of which we don't cover?
I think I can guess, but we want to be a podcast for all people and all parties. Right. I mean, I'll cover some of it just now. Women's Under-20 CONCACAF qualifiers. Have you seen those results?
One of the things I want to talk about. Can we talk about every goal?
Yeah, let's analyse every goal. If anyone hasn't seen the results of Canada's 2 matches so far, Game 1, they played Martinique.
That was 15-0, right?
15-0. What time is it? It's 15 past Martinique.
It's quarter past.
Now, their second game, they didn't play as well, but to be fair, they're playing 2 teams, St Vincent and the Grenadines. So, I mean, that was only a 12-0 victory. Understandable, 22 players on the pitch, tough to break down. I mean, I know they have to go through these qualifying because only the top 2 ranked teams, which is US and Mexico, are automatically into the CONCACAF final tournament in May and June. I don't quite know what the girls get out of these matches, apart from maybe just a nice little trip and a bit of chemistry, I guess.
Okay, but one of the things with the women's national team program, that aside from all the other things that are going on with it, that has been talked about for a while, and I think even we've talked about it at least even briefly in the past, is that there isn't, and this is partly because of opportunities, whatever, there isn't quite the pipeline of players coming through. And so although these might not be significant challenges, hopefully that they are opportunity for players to find form or at least improve in some way. And then also, like that community building aspect of things, like them being together as a team and growing together and all that kind of stuff.
And the traveling and everything that goes with that. And
totally. So hopefully there are positives out of it. Although, yes, from a sporting perspective, it doesn't seem the best.
Yes. So that's that covered. Let's cover the other bit of the national team news, I guess, then as well. The Gold Cup draw was made. Canada in Group D, and a fairly good draw. They've got Guatemala, they've got Cuba, And they've got one of 4 other teams that could be anything the way that things get played out. But you have to think possibly Trinidad and Tobago. Again, burdened by having an extra team in a group of 5. I'll never tire of those jokes. That and Jamaica.
Well, yeah.
Provincial Cup. Well, maybe coming to the end. MLS Next Pro. Whitecaps lost their first game of the season today at Swangard. 4-3 defeat. It was a humdinger of a match. It went back and forth, and a horrible defensive mistake at the end. Actually, a few defensive mistakes kind of cost them dearly in that. So see, we've got through a lot of these games already.
So does Ricardo Clark take away points from their in training point system when they perform badly in games?
Every chance he'll take it away from Max Anker and Mateo Campagna for that deciding goal this afternoon. Mateo just left it thinking Max was going to come out. Max didn't. It was closed down. Mateo kind of just panics and kicks the ball off the Galaxy guy and it rebounds into the net.
Yeah.
He felt and looked absolutely gutted.
Yeah.
That went. I really felt for him. Because like Vanni Sartini was there watching in person as well. Good turnout today. Afshin Goatby was there. Possibly scouting some maybe loan deals, who knows, or maybe some signings. John Herdman was there as well, watching his son Jay. Had a good chat with him at half-time. He's excited about the Gold Cup, but in particular, Copa America. We were talking about how exciting a prospect that is for next year. But we are going to get John and Jay on the show soon anyway. So
together?
Yes, we're going to get them on together. Then I thought we could maybe do the Berhalters, the Dazoviches, but we'll just go through all the fathers and sons.
How many except for the Reynas? How many
that'd be fun.
He scored. Was it this weekend or last weekend? Now I can't remember. He scored again as a substitute for, I think it was this weekend. Yeah, he scored, but someone scored after him to equalize. It was great. It was Bundesliga. You got to watch the Bundesliga. It's a great year in the Bundesliga.
Well, see, there's another thing we've talked about already in the show.
Yeah, there you go. But no, I was going to ask you something about Herdman. Like, did he give you like a percentage of how many episodes he listens to, or is it like just?
I didn't ask him if he still listened. Actually,
it
was really nice because I was sitting up the back of my own, like I like to do at these games,
and he hunted you down.
Please don't come and speak to me vibe. And I was on my phone. I saw someone from the corner of my eye, and I was like, "Oh, who's this?" I looked up. I was like, "Oh, hey, John."
Wait, what
always happy to speak to John, so we had a good chat. I enjoyed it.
What is the difference between your normal vibe and the don't come speak to me vibe?
I don't know, but yeah, so we've covered a lot of that. But let's start things off and let's talk in this part about the big one, the big talking point. Some would say the biggest match of the weekend, Zach. I think we might be safe to say. Of course, I'm talking about East Fife 8, Stranraer 0. Our biggest win since the 60s, biggest win in our new stadium. Easily could have been double figures. It was an incredible performance by the Black and Gold. And yeah, check out our Glory Days of Gold podcast to catch up with that. I'm not on it this week because I've just been so busy, but there was that game. And I can't think of any other game that's really worth talking about.
Wait, I left for a second, Michael. Are you still nattering on about?
Oh yeah, I've just got to goal 3 of the 8 as we break those down. Scotty Shepherd, good to see him getting a pair, get that confidence. He's disappointed he didn't get the hat trick, but I mean, a couple of good saves with the Stranraer keeper, kept keeping the score down.
Did any of your ex-criminals score?
I don't think we have any ex-criminals on our team.
This is former players.
Former players are the ex-criminals, right. Yeah. But yeah, let's talk about, in this part, a game that I think for everyone there will long live in the memory. It's a historic occasion. The first ever BC derby in the CPL. The first of many, many. And hopefully with more teams to be part of it as well. Pacific FC kicked off their CPL season with a 1-0 win. My Stew the Starfish boys over your Eagles, or whatever that thing is meant to be, Vancouver FC. BC is still purple, Zach.
Yeah, I guess for now it is. Yeah, sure.
As was your face, as you were yelling the songs out, it appeared on the podcast, on the TV.
Is that what it appeared like?
Yes. We saw a lot of your arse on the TV.
So my better side.
Yes. Yes, very good. But no, I mean, Pacific FC, Vancouver FC. But we'll talk about your whole experience, the trip over and everything about that in a sec.
Yeah.
Just general thoughts from you, though, on the match, on the whole occasion. You've waited a long time for this. Was it everything you hoped it would be, aside from the result, obviously?
Yeah, I mean, for me, there's a lot of exciting elements to it, right? Like having a new local football club to support and be a part of is just exciting in and of itself. It's been, what are we? This is April 2023. But the last time I actively supported a club side was, I don't know what, October 2019 or something. It's been a long time. But it's yeah, no, I mean, it was great. It was a lot of fun, and I think, yeah, it'll live long in the memory of those who attended. And like we'll talk about in a few minutes, there's I think a lot of elements, or a number of elements anyways, that really help grow and build both the appreciation and the rivalry between the clubs and the supporters, and ultimately I think is really, really helpful for the league to progress.
Yeah, I mean, it's something. The league needs these rivalries. We've lost the Alberta one, obviously, for this year.
For
Having the
now,
BC,
yeah.
For now, having the BC one there is good, and that's how you grow the game. And I mean, how many travelling support would you say was over? There was a
Yeah,
couple of buses they mentioned on the
no,
broadcast.
there's only one bus.
I thought there was only one because I was like, how did I
Yeah,
not get on the second one?
yeah, no, there was one bus. No, I think, well, there was roughly like 80 tickets sold in this section, but then we also had a few, like we had a few other people. Well, a couple of people were sick, so they couldn't be there. But we had a few other people join us who had tickets elsewhere in the stadium. So some, people from the let's say the larger BC Canada supporter community who had tickets for the match in other parts of the stadium joined us. Parts of Callum's family came and joined us, which was great.
Oh,
So yeah, there was in the ballpark of like, yeah, of 80 people in the section. And to be fair, we had a section that technically they're like 210 seats in. So that's why when you see, you're like, oh, there's kind of space around. Well, they wanted us to keep space on the edge of the section because for obvious reasons, which we'll get into more later.
they'd seen your video in Qatar at the Germany game.
Oh, Michael. Oh my. No. But no. So yeah, we kept things a little bit more to the middle. But yeah, no, it was, I think everyone who went had a good time.
Yeah, and
I wish you were there. I wish you were there with us in
do
the
you know
section.
what? I woke up on Saturday morning and I was like, oh, should I message Zach to see if there was any empty seats on the bus that I could make my own way to the ferry and get on the bus?
There was technically.
Oh, I should have.
There was the two people who were sick. You could have probably taken one of their seats. I
Because
I,
that
I
would
didn't take I didn't take
possibly have
them
been better than getting absolutely drenched at
drenched. Yeah.
a provincial B Cup game as a
I
goal.
guarantee
But
you
I
it
did get
would have
some
been
good
better.
video of a brawl, so that was something.
Yeah, no, it would have been better to be at this. It was great on a personal. It was great. Like I went with my like whole family as like a
Mm.
family outing, and my wife is well, my wife's amazing, but she's also really, well, she's a football widow, a tifo widow, but also someone who helps with all those things. And so she was amazing in helping prep for everything, and then was there. And my son obviously has been to a number of games and is more and more into the supporter culture side of things. I think the one thing that I was a little bit not surprised at, but really encouraged by was how into it my 11-year-old daughter was.
I'd paused it
But
at one point and I was showing Caitlin your family on the screen.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, she was really into it, which was
Awesome.
really encouraging. And then part of it, just like you want to have it for her. I think part of it, she wants to have positive experience with her dad, with her family, or whatever. But I there is an element I think where she also is beginning to appreciate it more and more.
Did she enjoy Stewie the Starfish?
She loved. I don't know if you. Well, actually, you've seen because it's been on Twitter. I don't know if you know. Do you know Gail and Brandon? They made a two stick of
Oh, aha, yes, of course.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they made a two stick of an eagle going after the starfish as they used the image of the guy from the SpongeBob SquarePants
Yes.
guy or whatever. And like
Yes.
my kids love that. My daughter loved that. And apparently there's a picture on Twitter so they made it, but there's a picture of me actually holding it up while Brendan or Brendan's capoing. But no, there was a lot for them that they loved and had a lot of fun. So on a family level, it was really great. And then also just there was so many people some who are like committed obviously to the cause and to be a part of supporting a new club, and then there's some who are just really good friends who care about football in the province who were like, yeah, they wanted to be there and be a part of it. And so that was, yeah, really awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it was a special day. Both sets of supporters had the tifo as well. I did not know you were a big Annie Lennox fan.
Well, that
Or
actually,
Marilyn Manson's version, was that the one you were going for?
no,
Sort of
no,
goth. It was your tribute to me,
yeah,
goth. With
yeah. Oh my, no. Well, that actually, I haven't messaged him, but actually, that song came to the Vancouver community from our mutual good friend Gordy. He's the
oh,
one who brought that song. I can't remember who it was for. I think it was for a national team game. That's where I'm pretty sure it started with a national team game. Where we used
if
it
anyone
on
hasn't seen it, by
plays.
the way, we're talking about "Sweet Dreams Are
Yeah.
Made of These."
Sweet dreams are made of these black and red on the field of green. We travel the world and the sail sea to cheer on our eagles to victory. So yeah, so that
Oh, I
was the
like that. That's
inspiration.
that's really good.
Yeah, so that's why. And well, here's the only thing that kind of was a little bit frustrating was because we had checked, of course, ahead of time, and we're told like, oh yeah, we're gonna wear the black and red. We're gonna wear the black and red. We're gonna wear the black and red. So we're like, perfect, because that suits with what we're like. We even before we started on things, we asked. And
Yeah,
they're like, yep, yeah, yeah. I asked like a week before. I asked a couple days before. They're like, yeah, yeah, black and red, black and red, black and red. And then it was like I was just like, someone's like, hey, in warm up, I think they're wearing all black. I was like, oh, but whatever. So, anyways, that's the work. So, an image of the eagle. It said the banner said "Sweet Dreams," and then we used some flags to that one half was black, one half was red. Yeah, I haven't watched the broadcast. I know the beginning of the broadcast didn't really show the deployment, because it was kind of in stages. And so, but there are some okay pictures out there.
yeah. Well, there's one in our match report. Felipe did a post game report, so we've got a good
Oh, I haven't
picture.
clicked on that link.
Oh yeah, Beau Chevalier has a brilliant picture of the tifo, which was actually going to be the main picture. I was initially going to put that, and the headline was going to be Vancouver FC's sweet dreams turn into Derby Day nightmare. Was my original headline, but then I went with an even better lead picture. I felt as you
Oh
click
yeah,
into it just now,
yeah. Well, I know. I see it.
which
Yeah,
is of
I've
course
seen it before. I
the
think it's funny.
Pacific players celebrating right in front of you. I loved it so much. Not all the Vancouver FC fans did. I believe an object was thrown at the Pacific FC players.
Do we want to talk about this now?
Yeah, let's talk about this now.
Okay, well, there's a
I
few.
thought I thought it was
There we go.
German and Qatar all over again.
No, Michael. Oh yeah, that's a good picture from Bo.
Yeah,
Um, no,
Bo's a great photographer.
yeah, totally. No, I mean, so one of the things I've talked with the stewards of Vancouver FC, for quite some time now, is how this whole, you know, the CPL talks a lot about they're growing in an industry, they're growing a culture, they're laying foundations for all this stuff.
Yes.
As I've had the privilege of connecting with supporters from across the league since the league started in some, social media chat groups and whatever that people have allowed me to be a part of in anticipation of all this stuff happening out here. And as I've listened and asked a few questions and whatever, I mean, one of the areas that needs to grow is how clubs and their stadiums embrace the importance of away support at football.
And properly accommodate them.
Yeah. So from the very beginning, we've talked with Vancouver, the stewards of our club about how we're hoping that in the way we welcome in fan away supporters into our stadium, and welcome's not the right word. The way we accommodate away supporters in our stadium can maybe help set some precedents in the league or show some best practices or whatever. And so far, I've been really encouraged by some of that. And then dealing with Pacific, there's been some really great things about it. Starting with even the ticket price was, within reason, because, if it wasn't, that could have created certain issues.
Yeah.
But no, I think it was great that they were willing to give us a whole section. That was great. But obviously, all of these stadiums, even one like Starlight that has has had add-ons to it and stuff, they're not built for like, here is a place that is designated for away supporters. You know what I mean? And so yeah, there's no separation, right? Which is
Yeah,
kind of
did you have
needed.
some Pacific fans, like, as you look onto the pitch to your left?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it looked
So
like there was a
no,
little section
but so
there.
here's the deal. We were in 113. The reason why they didn't put us in that little section was just because it's the worst view. That section is
Right.
actually because by, I think, provincial or federal law, they have to have a section of the stadium, the voted section of the stadium, that is alcohol free. And that little section to our left is the alcohol free section. So they're like, we can't put you there because we're not gonna, bring you here and say you can't drink, can't drink.
And
So
it's the
that's
worst view in the alcohol
it's
free.
yes,
Wow.
but they use that. That's like their last place they sell tickets, unless there's a group, or sometimes they'll do group sales there. So we were told there might be some people next to you, there might not be on that side. On the other side, yes, there was a section
Oh
of,
yeah, I saw the ones on the other side.
other
Yeah.
side. So we were surrounded a little bit, which is, again, that's not the end of the world. The problem is there was not adequate security, right? So it wasn't even just the goal. It was like, at the beginning of near the beginning of the game, some Lakeside boy thought it would be a great idea just to come up and just like be chirping at us like nonstop. And I was just like, what are you doing? Like, are you trying to incite like problems like this? I mean, and he was like wearing Lakeside Boy stuff and whatever. And I know that, I know the head of the Lakeside Boys, and Michael's a great guy, and we'll talk
Yeah.
about this. And Michael and I talked, and to be fair, Michael and I talked ahead of time about how can we avoid problems and issues, and they're great to deal with and stuff.
And they
Um,
said, make sure I don't come over and everything should be fine.
yeah. And but so there was very limited security. So this one dude, whatever, people said, hey, like, you need to move on. And so eventually he did. And someone went and talked to him. I think actually might have been Brendan, might have went and talked to him and said, look, because he knows the Lakeside Boys really well as well. But literally there was like only like one security guard there. And so then you had a bunch of teenagers walking by giving us the finger and whatever. Like, it was really fun because with my kids after they saw a lot of fingers on this trip. And so we got to talk about. Have you ever seen that part of Seinfeld's routine where he's like, why am I supposed to be offended by or impressed or whatever by someone showing me their middle finger?
Oh
Have you ever seen
no.
this? Oh yeah,
No.
he's like, if I was in traffic and I'm in traffic and someone shows me the finger, like, am I supposed to be upset by this? Like, what is this? Is this impressive? And he goes on to say, he's like, if someone were to like show me their middle toe, that would be impressive. That I take notice of that. But
Well,
he's like,
that's obviously what you guys have to do for the next game.
yeah. He's like, I don't take issues with middle fingers anymore. Anyways, so yeah, there were some dudes who walked by and gave us the finger, whatever, big deal.
And did you just shout, we've got electricity? Look, here's a mobile phone. That's kind of stuff we did down in Scotland.
I can imagine. Cowden Beath. Yeah,
Oh,
I
yes,
remember all your Cowden
yes.
Beath responses. Anyways, that was a big issue. But no, I mean the way doing some TIFO together. The other key element in all this, which I haven't heard talked about so much on social media, but we talked about in the ground. Do you know the other significant element in all this, Michael? About the support, the away support? It's one word, real simple thing.
Um,
We won't have at home matches.
Something we won't have at home matches. Segregation?
No,
No.
we'll have that.
Something we won't. Oh, no. I
A,
don't know.
a roof.
Oh.
It was very,
Oh, don't
very,
start me on that.
it was
When we
very,
get
very
Rob on the
helpful.
show, I'll be starting with Rob on that.
Well, oh, dude, I talked to Rob about it to get the game, and he was like, yeah, he expressed
Can you
his
not
intent.
like just make a little canopy that can get just over you guys?
Yeah, probably not right away. But
But
no,
just before you move on, just talking to the TIFO, what did you think of the Pacific TIFO? Because I quite liked that as well. I
okay,
thought that was really, really clever. Plus,
on
they've
it,
got the
The rigging.
This isn't great for podcast.
Yeah.
It looks like
Are
I'm
you
milking
milking?
a cow.
Are you milking a
Yeah.
cow? Yeah. So no. So honestly, because I was focused on what we were doing, but I had to look over, and in the stadium, it didn't come out like from a distance from where we were. I was like, it doesn't look like it's working properly, or I couldn't like see it
They
fully.
seem to have trouble getting it up, but I mean, we all have after a few beers.
But that is like I've seen that on the broadcast, and it looks really good.
Yeah, it looks good in
And
the broadcast. And there's a nice shot which I took a picture of on the screen. I like the scoreboard in the stadium. It's got your tifo
in the background,
and then it's got theirs beside it.
That's the problem though. Is ours was still being unfurled. The front part.
You said it took ages.
No, but that was the issues with the unfurling were not part of the plan. But the plan was in stages. So you unfurl, you hold. We held these things, we shook them, we waved them. It was a whole ordeal. I've
sent you a photo of what I took the screen grab from.
Okay, I'll look at that. Oh, there you are. Yeah. Yeah, see, ours wasn't even fully out then. So, the person who was holding up that side that was having issues was my 11-year-old daughter. I think that was partly why there was issues with getting it. Well, there was a pole that was causing a problem.
Name and shame.
Yeah. No, but I'm so glad she was a part of it. No, so I think the Tifo was actually really, really quality. And is in line with the stuff they've been done in the past with the whole, octopus thing or whatever.
Yeah.
Or is it not? It's
that's the T-shirt that I said I'd got. The Welcome to the Pacific, and it's got the
It is an octopus.
It's cracking up.
Cracking. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, no. That was really great, and it was just great. Wasn't it great to have a game with a home and away Tifo?
It was like just to have that amount of travelling support, and I really hope that they're going to bring a lot over. I know Cavalry are hoping to bring a couple of dozen fans through for the
no more than that.
More than that? Yeah,
there's already at least 35 tickets sold, and they'll hopefully get close to 50, I think.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
But they also have
the away fans in Langley. They're all going to be in the north stand. Is that right?
They are going to be on the east stand on the north corner.
But the north stand is where I would put them.
There is no north stand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was slow. I just thought I'll spell that out again.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. No, that they won't be treated like that.
Okay. Is this the stand that's going to be ready, or the stand that's still getting built?
Actually, yeah. That's the one stand that's I think the last to be. I don't know where it's at.
Because if they're northeast, that's going to be possibly the last section.
Maybe. So maybe they'll be standing in the north.
Yeah, they might be in the north after all.
But
the north remembers.
But no, so yeah, it was really great. But so security, also going back to security, could have been much better. So aside from this one lakeside boy and a bunch of teenagers, flashing fingers or whatever, so what happens is the poor. Well, there's a poor clearance to begin with, and then the poor clearance that leads to the goal for Apprecio.
Yeah. So
great strike, great goal, and he runs to the corner, and I haven't read all the things. You told me some stuff about. He said, "Oh, I could not do it," or whatever, and blah blah blah.
Yeah, he basically saw you there and thought, I can't. We're right in front of them. I can't not do it and run over. Plus, it stokes the whole derby rivalry, and I genuinely love that. If I'd been in that section, I'd be going fucking nuts at them. Yeah. But there we go.
So I think there was a lot of. Sorry, my understanding from some other people. I think there was a number of fingers shown to him, equal to the scoreline. No. So here's a couple I think important things about this before we talk about the can. Number one, I appreciate it on a couple levels. One, because you're right, it does add to the whole rivalry and our team and your team and not liking each other and whatever. It also, I think he only does that because there was an actual away support presence.
Yes.
Like if there's a bunch of people who aren't actively supporting or
if there's two Valor fans sitting in the stand, he's going to run over to them.
Exactly.
I still would, but
in one sense, there's like they tried to shush us because we were being loud in their house.
Yes.
So that's there's a positive side to it if you can see it that way. when it comes to the can, so personally, I was facing the group of players at that moment, so I wasn't looking at our own people. I think I might have been actually just saying to Manny oh yeah, come on, come on,
Come on.
oh yeah,
Oh, the good old
come.
Scottish.
Yeah, but with just one hand, not two. Because I think my other hand had a megaphone in it, but
The other hand had a big finger going towards him.
no, it did not. I was trying to get my sock and shoe off to show a toe.
Ah, you
But
looked down, you just saw Kirk going.
no, no, there's pictures of Kirk though. There's pictures of Kirk. I think there's a picture with like he's like this with both his hands on his head. I gotta double check that.
Oh.
Anyways, so I didn't see who threw the can. So obviously a can comes out of the section towards the players. What's his name? This right back substitute for George, number 13.
I don't know.
You know him. I for some reason his name's it's a hyphenated name.
Oh, the one I always have trouble pronouncing.
Yeah. Anyways, he catches it or whatever, and just like drops it on the ground. So okay, first off, and I know some people
not Miller. He's the other one I can't pronounce.
you're talking about Mayor Giguère?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't him. No. Number 13, right back.
Oh, Dada Luki.
Yeah.
I can pronounce him.
Okay, sorry. Anyways, he catches it. I can't remember.
I was like, what? I thought the guy I can pronounce is the Thomas guy.
No, they just call him TMG. They call him TMG. Yeah. Anyways, so he catches it, drops it. So I know some people were tweeting at you or me or whatever, like, oh, well, what are they going to say about this on the show? So here's the thing. I unlike Michael with violence in football, I don't condone such behavior. I don't think it was the right thing to do, obviously. Now, after it happened, a few minutes after it happened or whatever, a person who works for Pacific came up to us and was just like, hey, you need to tell us who that was, because if we don't throw them out, then you won't be allowed back in the future. And I was just like, well, that's crazy, because I don't know who threw it. And I don't think anyone's going to own up to throwing it right now. But whatever. So they were like, no, you have to. And I was just like, okay. So I literally later on, a few moments later, I did say, hey, if anyone wants to talk about the can that was thrown, you can go talk to this gentleman over here. And contrary to the things that I saw posted online, I don't know that that actually happened. Like, I didn't see anyone leave the section.
You don't know that someone got kicked out for sure.
I don't know that. So there are people are like, oh, they got kicked out and they're getting a ban or whatever. That might have happened, but I didn't see that happen. But
it is a stupid thing.
It's totally a stupid thing to do, because here's the other thing, right? Like it's added to with the whole not being a right amount of security, right? Because if there's a right amount of security there, Michael, they see what happens, they grab the person, they deal with them, whatever, right? If
security had been there, it may not have happened to begin with, because folk are less likely to then do that.
Another excellent point, Michael. The other thing which we were talking about after is, if I saw who did it, my inclination would have been take the individual with a few people who I know and trust, and sit down with them and talk to them.
Oh, not take him round the back and kick shit out of him.
No.
Oh, we deal with things very differently.
Very differently. Yeah. I would have said
You've not had your weekly or your annual appraisal yet, though.
No, yeah. No. So I would have sat down with them and talking about how like that's not cool and that doesn't help what we're trying to do. And then talked about, go forwards from there or whatever. So, but what did happen on the so I don't want to leave this on a negative note. On a positive note, what happened was this same individual from Pacific, after the game was over, as we're cleaning up, came down. We just had to sit down and chat, which was really, really great. And the individual, I won't say their name or whatever, but they were just like, they were like, hey, I'm sorry. They sort of apologized. Hey, I'm sorry that, how that all came about and whatever, or like they were sorry about how they interacted with us. And I said the same thing. I was just like, look, I'm sorry if I was a little bit abrasive as well, because I really was not really having what they were saying in that moment, because it was unrealistic to me that anything like that would happen. But so we just sat down and we talked about the good things that happened on the day. We talked about things that can be improved, both on their side and on our side. And it was a really, I think, a positive thing. And he said to me, Yeah, he. Oh, yeah, I won't tell you the rest of that. You and I can talk about that more another time. But
Yeah.
anyway, so it was a good. I think it was a good learning moment. I'm happy that no one actually got hit or hurt by the can. And again, I don't condone such behavior. I personally don't think I've ever done that before myself, and don't envision myself doing that in the future. And same for Vancouver FC supporters. I hope that doesn't become an ongoing thing. However,
No.
I do think it's also on the as much as I appreciate it in terms of the rivalry and they were doing it as a response to the away support. I think that the league and their clubs and their officials need to be a little bit careful because my understanding is, as you and I talked before the show,
Yeah.
there was no booking shown, although the referee was over there with his yellow card out. As that's what I remember
Yeah,
seeing.
because we were talking before the show and you were like, had his card out. I was like, no, there's no Pacific players, at least
Got
on the
booked.
official stats, showing as being booked for the
Yeah,
entire game.
and so so it looked to me like he booked at least one player or two players, the way he had the card out and the way anyways, I
Maybe
must
it
have
was the guy that threw the can he was given the yellow card to.
possibly or the security guard.
Hmm.
But the other thing I want to say about that, so the league I think needs because I think that's against the laws of the game, right? You're not
Yeah,
supposed to
it's
do
excessive celebrations and it's goading the rival
right.
fans. Incitement.
Yes, exactly. You and I were talking about the Gary Neville incident from years ago.
Yeah.
I think that was after a victory against Liverpool at Old Trafford, where I think did he get banned for that after? I
That
can't
I
remember
can't
if he got
remember. I mean, he
banned.
still goads him to this day on Sky TV, but
Yeah, but
the,
that
the,
yeah,
the Liverpool fans have had more of the last laugh in that in recent years.
that's true. But the other thing I do want to say actually though about this was because it wasn't just Apprecio, it was the whole team,
Oh,
right?
yeah, there's some great photos.
Yeah, it
Josh
was the whole team.
Herd's right over there enjoying it.
But the other thing though, the one thing I did appreciate, because in the moment I was just like, oh, I was just like, yeah, I was frustrated. Because well, more so because we were losing. But the one person who I did have a little bit more respect for than the others was Amir Didic. Because at the end of the game, Amir Didic came over and gave like a nod, gave a clap to the away to the away
Oh,
supporters,
that's lovely.
like out of respect. And I was like, oh, okay, well, he gets it. Like he gave it in the moment, but he came over and so I thought that was cool. Um, so yeah, so hopefully we don't see that. Hopefully we see the rivalry continue to grow like it did in moments like that. But hopefully we don't see any more moments of especially items being thrown on the pitch or thrown at players or whatever.
Well, I mean, I would say that the can throwing incident was kind of. I mean, it just matched Vancouver FC's performance. Didn't get it on target, and yeah, disappointingly missed the target in the end. But if we get into the game, that was my unsubtle attempt to try and just quickly talk about the game. I've got to say, it wasn't a game for the ages. I was a little bit disappointed by the action on the pitch. I thought both teams cancelled each other out a little bit in that first half, and I think Pacific deserved the victory. I think they just edged the game overall. Defensively, Vancouver look really strong. We talked about this last week. That back three is like awesome. Beasts. James Merriman was asked about the size of them, and he's like, oh, yeah. And they're not going to give up a lot of goals. I think it's the first game, but we have seen them pre-season as well. And a couple of the games, they've relied on penalties against Altitude and FC Tigers to get on the score sheet. I do worry that the lack of goals in this team could come back to bite them big in the opening part of this season.
Yeah. I think your analysis is fair. I think that yeah, we knew that they were gonna struggle a little bit, I think, on the offensive side of things, especially with Gale not being fit enough to start, Gale Sandoval. I think
Yeah,
that hurt them because I think when he came on, I think that added a bit of a spark.
because Afshin was asked afterwards about that, actually by Felipe, and he said it was a little bit tactical, a little bit game management because there's 3 games in 8 days, and he wants Gale to play in all 3 of them. So
Yeah.
it's a case of managing those minutes. But you would have thought in a big game like this, if he was good to go, you would have started him.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, Michael, he's not fully fit. Like he's carrying
I'm pretty sure as well.
he's carrying a knock, he's carrying an injury, he's carrying like a niggly thing. Like
Yeah,
it's
as I've seen's just way of kind of using the
yeah.
amount of games to kind of cover that.
But I think although yeah, it wasn't I don't think it was that you're right. I don't think it was an amazing match, a football match, but I think it was engaging and the occasion made it, you know, a good like a good enough spectacle to to appreciate watching it, right? Um and even the atmosphere around it or whatever. I think like I texted you after the game, I think that ultimately as hard as it is to say this, I think Pacific were worthy winners, but that we held our own and we put in a respectable performance.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
I think
first game, and it's an inexperienced side that's still getting chemistry and still finding its feet against a team with a lot of CPL experience.
yeah, I think if Shan's offside goal had been onside,
Hmm.
I think that it could have been the 3-2 game I was hoping for in our preview.
Yeah, I kind of worry that so much of this Vancouver attack, though, is based on Shan Hundle turning
Yeah.
it on and doing it at,
Well,
at a
I think
high level.
it's more based on I think on Sandoval being fit and creating and or scoring himself. I think though what you'll see throughout the year is you'll see a player or two added that will. Sorry, let me put it this way. I would be shocked if during the season there's not a player or potentially two added that are more at the difference maker level than what's currently in the roster.
Yeah, well, let me just go doot doot. The train
Yeah,
is pulling into Speculation Central.
yeah.
Theo Bair over with St Johnstone in Scotland. Their manager, Callum Davidson, has just been sacked,
Oh,
and Theo hasn't really been more than a kind of bench player for them. I would expect him to be let go at the end of the season. Now, he might want to stay in Europe, may want to stay in Scotland, I'm not sure he will. But, I mean, that could be a guy that comes back for the second half of the season and just wants to show what he can do again to put his name back in the frame.
he is not a name that I've heard at this moment, but
It was just the
yeah,
first thing that came into my head when
yeah,
Callum Davison got sacked this morning.
yeah, no, because I mean he's not because he's Canadian, it wouldn't matter, right? Because
Hmm.
they're
Oh,
at the
yeah.
moment at the moment they don't have room with their over 23 international spots.
Yes. Although they do have a under 23 international swap by the looks of it, 'cause it does appear that Christian Mares' loan has been terminated by Puebla.
Yeah, so I was talking to a mutual friend of ours about this on the trip home, and yeah, so essentially it's a mutual termination. There were I think things from both parties that were like, oh, this isn't quite the fit. I mean, the dude is what 18, right? And I think it was his first time really away from if not home, then Mexican culture. Um, and so I think it was a bit difficult for him. The funny the funny thing is with Mares, I don't know, and this was just based on the Instagram posts or whatever, but I always confuse Mares and Crawford. And because I remember was it the game in Newton that you were at, and I was like, Mares is playing left back. I was
Mm.
like, I didn't think he was a left back, but I swear that's him. And yeah, some people corrected me that no, that's Crawford. They just look a little bit alike.
But I
But no,
mean,
so yeah, it is disappointing that it didn't come to more. But again, I think it will create space for them to do something else that'll be more meaningful.
Camilo, Camilo. Well, in the next part, we're actually talking to CPL Commissioner Mark Noonan, and I do ask him about whether there's a chance of increasing the number of international overage players. So you can listen intently to what he says in the next part. But I mean, overall, I think it was a good first BC derby, atmosphere wise, if maybe not some of the action on the pitch. I think Pacific are looking like they could be a force to be reckoned with again this year. I really
Well,
like the squad that they've built.
I know I should know this, and I saw him briefly before the game. I didn't get to connect or whatever. Is Kukut is just not ready yet?
Yeah, he's only had a couple of days training, so James felt that he wasn't up to kind of
Okay.
match fitness just yet.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So they I mean both sides weren't at full strength. So
Yeah.
that's it'll be interesting to see where things are at the next meeting, which I think is in June.
I mean, I've felt that the team showed in their first game that they are a top team, and it's a team that can be there at the end of the year and win the championship. I feel that's a little bit optimistic from what he saw on that first display, but he also said he's not a coach that gets down with a defeat and he'll pick the team up fairly quickly and they'll just move on now to the Canadian Championship game that we'll talk about in part 4. So the CPL season kicked off this weekend. We've chatted about the BC Derby, but believe it or not, there were 3 other games this weekend. Not everyone will probably know that, but there were 3 other games, and the season kicked off with Ottawa Halifax, a 1-1 draw. Both goals in the first half. Zachary Fernandez fired Halifax into surprise. I think for
Yeah.
many folks,
It was
16th
a
minute lead.
good finish, inside of his foot, bottom corner, back across goal. Nice goal for
Yeah.
Halifax. I was excited for them, happy for them.
But then it was,
Your buddy.
hooray for Hollywood. Dude, I love the Hollywood sign behind the goal. Even Caitlin saw it and was like, oh, that's so clever. But yeah, the Ginger Ninja pops up with the equaliser, first half stoppage time. And I thought Ottawa would go on and win that game, but a share of the points in the end. I do like what Halifax have got as a core, and it's how much they can sustain that over the course of the season.
Yeah.
But Patrice Geyser is a very good coach, and he's deserved his chance. And we've seen what he's done with Vaughan Azzurri, and we'll be getting him on the show soon just to chat about everything. But I liked the hustle of Halifax. It did
Yeah.
feel very much like a different kind of Halifax to what we saw under Stephen Hart on the
Yeah.
road.
And I know we talked about this a lot with Felipe on the pregame show, but other than obviously Vancouver FC being a completely new new squad, like everyone's new, obviously. It's the first year of the team. But yeah, I think the team that to me is most interesting or perhaps the biggest overhaul is Halifax. And like we said before, they have a great base of support in their community and a great stadium and all that kind of stuff. And so it's going to be interesting to see how they progress this year.
The second game, the old foes met again. Forge 2, Cavalry 2. This was a decent enough game. Meyer
Yeah.
Bevan put the Cavs ahead in the 36th. Jordan Hamilton levelled from the spot 5 minutes later. Bad decision by Marco Carducci to give away the penalty. I
Yeah.
don't know what else he could really have done, but
No.
try and force him maybe wide or something. But it was a clear penalty.
It was a nice finish and nice celebration from Bevan. Bevan with Mason. They did
Yes. Oh
the
yeah, but he did that when he scored against the Caps as well. I don't know where it comes from actually. I
no.
should probably ask him.
I don't know where it's from, but they do. It's a FIFA celebration, but
I
I think it was,
thought last year I thought it was because Russell Tybert had the eye patch on, but
oh,
it
that's
turns out
right.
it's
That's right.
not.
No, but I think he did one eye and then Mason did the opposite eye.
Ah.
It was good.
Yeah, it's Cavalry. Maybe a little bit of a surprise because folk didn't really know what to expect, and obviously this is all nobody really knows what to expect. It's the first game of the year, but I liked what I saw from them. Mikhail Cantave put Cavs back in front in the 64th, but they were pegged back again by Noah Jensen. Biggest disappointment in this: no sending offs.
Yeah, because those matches tend to have a
Yeah, I
have
like
a-
I like these. Then the game today, it was York 2, Valor 2. I was an interested spectator in this, obviously with Valor coming to play TSS midweek. Half time, I sent a message through to Colin and Willie at TSS going, oh, you'll be quaking in your boots after that first half performance. Didn't feel as cocky and confident after the second half. Valor kind of turned it on a little bit in that second half. York looked poor. And one of the questions, actually, just quickly, Zach, before I get your thoughts on it, I meant to ask you this when we were doing our preview. If York don't make the playoffs this year,
Marty.
Martin Nash has got to go. You'd have to say.
Yeah, possibly. I think it depends on how the season plays out, but it wouldn't be shocking if that were to happen in that way. Um, I think this was an intriguing game, right? You're right because these are both the sides that the
A lot of
the
pundits
main
and fans had
no
them
no
as the
no
bottom two.
no no that's not what I
No?
was gonna say.
Oh.
I was trying to choose my words carefully, but I'll say it. They're both the sides in the opponents of both the sides in the Lower Mainland are playing in the opening rounds of the Voyageurs Cup.
Oh,
Right.
yes.
So like you talked about, yeah, it was huge. I'm sure everyone from TSS and all the owners and fans were watching this to see, okay, what are they looking like?
Yeah, and obviously I
And
forgot you'll be watching it from the Vancouver
exactly.
FC point of view.
So from the
You'll be
TSS
feeling
side,
cocky and confident that a 0-0 draws on the cards.
hang on, we'll come to that in a moment. So for TSS, I thought, oh yeah, I did not expect this start from Valor to be so like I guess comprehensive win, right? Um and uh I saw someone, I think it was jokingly, be like, "Oh yeah, they're gonna win 5-0." Oh yeah, I remember who it was. They're gonna win 5-0 at Swangard. Um, but no, like, are you like, does that performance make you concerned, or like me, do you think that York just kind of really underperformed? And the one thing I haven't looked up is Di Rosario injured? Like, why did he start?
Well, he was on the bench. He's not fully fit.
Okay, so he's like Sandoval's
Yeah.
probably. Okay.
I think it's a case of it's a long season. Let's not do anything stupid to make him miss a number of games by him breaking down by playing him.
Because they were really underwhelming. I know the first goal was like that own goal or whatever, right? It was a little bit unfortunate, but yeah, I was yeah, I would like you. I was underwhelmed by York, and I don't say that in a cocky way in terms of VFC playing them on Wednesday in the V's Cup, because I still think that the best of York United, like their best 11, will be hard for us to beat. Like it will be. Um,
Yeah, I partly joked I could see it being 0-0,
oh yeah, yeah,
and then
yeah,
it goes to penalties. And with that Vancouver defence, it's like stay solid, get to 0-0. It might not be the best result for him. I just, from a TSS point of view, I was a bit more concerned by full time than I was at half time. I am concerned about the physicality of Valor. That was a very physical match just in general, though.
yeah,
Both teams are flying in.
yeah.
But I think it's the difference in levels. Because you're looking
Mm.
at tier 3 against tier 2, if you wish. And those players, you see the beasts, the athletic specimens that, for example, the Vancouver FC backline. But just some of the players in the CPL, and then you look at the build and stuff of some of the players that's going to be on this TSS side, and there's a big sort of body build differential, and I do wonder if Phil DeSantis will come here with the thing in mind of let's just kind of like rough them up a little bit and use this. Because
Yeah,
I was saying to Colin, oh, need to kick them off the park and match that physicality, but they like to play good football.
yeah.
And I don't know that they've got the players that can match that physicality as well. So
I don't want to rebuke you, Michael, but technically it's Canada Div 1 versus Canada Div 3.
where's Canada Div 2?
There isn't one yet.
Oh.
Yet.
Yet.
And then there are
Funnily
those
enough, we'll talk about that with the commissioner in the next part
and
as well.
yeah, and then there are those who play in American Div 1.
Yeah. Anyway, you talk about shocking things. Valor's top of the table after
Yeah.
the first weekend of the CPL action. I think that's a shocking thing. But we are going to continue our CPL chat because I do sit down with Commissioner Mark Noonan and we're going to hear from him very shortly. But Zach's got one more thing he wants to say.
Well, just one other thing I saw this making the rounds, I think on Twitter or whatever. It would seem, and I wonder, I just want to get your thoughts on it. It seemed like a good weekend for the Canadian Premier League, if not in terms of some of the quality of the games, whatever, but in terms of the turnout.
I didn't actually see what the attendances were, and obviously it's hard to tell with York because the camera's facing away from the fans, as stupidly it's going to be for the TSS game on Wednesday night.
Oh yeah, right. I heard that it was like 7-7-6 on Saturday. So like I heard that, yeah, it was quite good. Now I don't know, is it opening day? Is it a World Cup bump? Is it something else?
It's nice weather out east as well.
Weather, yeah, weather helped because those games in the East Coast, they were all sunny from what I remember. And
Yeah,
here,
because when I was talking to the commissioner and Laura Armstrong before we did our chat,
oh yeah,
that they were saying, "Oh, looking forward to this." I was like, "Yeah, well, it's going to piss down there," which it turned out it didn't. It did here, but it didn't over there. And they were like, oh, really? Because it's so nice weather here. They just assumed it was going to be lovely in BC.
It was actually a great day. It rained a little bit, but the roof helped. Imagine that. And it wasn't too cold. Like in a hoodie, you were fine. You could even not have gone without a hoodie. Lots of people did. It was.
My hands turned a weird color here filming the Provincial Cup game.
But no, anyways, without knowing the York number, it's just encouraging opening weekend, and you hope it's not just an opening weekend or a good weather thing, but hopefully it's a sign of a progression on that front. Because I remember I was reading an article. I was reading an article about Valor, right? They're publicly owned by the community or whatever, and they were talking about how they need, I think it's 4.5 to 5 a game, and last year they averaged like 3-1-1-1, and so it was good signs. I know, and Valor wasn't at home obviously yet, but yeah.
Well, last little thing then, Valor. What do you make of the ownership group coming out basically saying we need to get 5,000 fans in to make this sustainable?
Yeah, well, yeah. So I read that quote in the one article. I don't. Yeah. We'll see long term what comes of Valor. I do know, like I have heard different things about Valor and the pros and the cons of the things that are happening there.
I mean, it is a good time for the CPL, and they do hope to expand further. And that's one of the many things we're going to sit down and chat with CPL Commissioner Mark Noonan. And we'll be back with that after this.
Hi, I'm Ollie Bassett, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
She won't go out with me, no, she won't go out 'cause my intellect's paper thin. She won't go out with me, no, she won't go out since my intellect's not like him. So like the Morrissey, she won't hang out with me, no, she won't hang out till my mighty wit bites like his. She won't hang out with me, no, she won't hang out till my quick retorts quick as his. So like the Morrissey,
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part is our Artist of the Month here at AFTN for the month of April, American Brothers Sparks. And that is a song released as a single in 2009, taken from their 2008 album, Exotic Creatures of the Deep, their 21st studio album. And that was a song called Lighten Up Morrissey. A song basically about Smith's frontman Morrissey and how all the trendy girls want their boyfriends to be like Morrissey and read poetry and be all like that, but it's hard to live up to a person like Morrissey. Also, especially when you eat meat, which Morrissey is well known for not, which is also why he won't tour in Canada. He doesn't believe with all this seal clubbing and stuff.
Yeah, okay.
No, genuine. He won't play in Canada because of that.
Because like the government like doesn't ban it kind of thing? Okay. Because it happens kind of like in the northern parts of Canada.
Yeah.
Right?
He also won't play at festivals where they're like cooking meat burgers and stuff because he doesn't want to smell the meat burning and stuff like that as well. So yeah.
I have lots of questions with this, but I'll save them for when we're done recording.
Okay. Let's get back to the football chat then. So as we mentioned, a decent opening weekend in the CPL. Various quality in the matches on display, but the 5th year of the league is underway. We're very excited about it, and so is still kinda newish CPL Commissioner Mark Noonan. Noonan took over from David Clanahan on September 1st last year. He's in his 8th month in the job. Got a chance to sit down with him on Friday afternoon just to chat about his time so far, where he'd like to see the league going under his direction, talked about expansion and a whole load of other things as well. So go stick the kettle on, grab your biscuit of choice, maybe make it a Nanaimo bar. Sit back and enjoy our chat with CPL Commissioner Mark Noonan. So thank you for joining us on the show today, Mark. The league's moving into year 5. It feels a big year for the CPL. How are you feeling at this moment, the day before heading into this new season?
I've got butterflies. I'm so excited. I wish I were on the field playing still, but the league has made so much progress through very, very difficult and challenging times, and we despite that still placed five men on our men's national team. That have come through the CPL. Despite that, we were able to launch a new team and a new stadium in Vancouver. And so there are these little victories that you get over time as you kind of step over all the roadblocks that we've encountered, and that's how you build a league. Building leagues is hard, and we're resilient, and we've got great people at the league office, great people at our team office that are incredibly dedicated, and we couldn't be more excited. Building off of the success we had in our playoffs last year, heading into season number 5.
Yeah, I think it's going to be it's going to be a really good year. It's obviously your first season fully in charge. I think you're into your 8th month now in the role, or maybe 9th. But it's going to be an exciting one. What does the shape of the Canadian Premier League look like in the Mark Noonan era?
I'm not sure what you mean by shape, but
is there any particular direction really that you'd want to go? Like, have you given yourself a mandate of what you want the league to be looking like by the time you decide to say step down?
Wow, I just got here and you're already retiring me.
Yeah, well, we hope you hang about for a while, but just your plan really for how you'd like to see it grow.
Yeah, we need to grow. Canada's a huge country. We only have 8 teams. I think we have the longest commute between matches between Halifax and Victoria, and we need to fill in a lot of those gaps. And we're working really hard to add clubs and add communities that want to support the Canadian Premier League. And I'd be disappointed if we don't double the size of the league at least in the next decade. I'd like to have 12 teams playing by 2026. Because of the size of the country, it would be great to have an East and a West division. Mm-hmm. We're going to work toward the possibility of promotion and relegation. You may know that we own something called League One, which is a Division III league, and taking the best clubs out of League One and perhaps creating a Division II is something that we're thinking about. And so there's a world of possibilities because we're just getting started. I was laughing. I was in Madrid a couple weeks ago, meeting with the ownership of Atletico de Madrid, who is our partner and the owner of Atletico Ottawa, and seeing that they have a 120-year history, and we're about to kick a ball for our 5th season, 2 of which were under the cloud of COVID, and I was a little jealous about the history they have, but the beauty is all the opportunities in front of us, and we are a league of opportunity here.
Oh, absolutely. My club in Scotland, it's a small club, East Fife. They're actually celebrating their 120th anniversary this year as well. So seems to be the nice round number for teams. Right. I mean, I was going to come to this a little bit later, but we touched on it now, so we'll mention it. Now, League One, I do a lot of the commentary out here for League One BC, and it's a league I'm very excited about. And you look at the possibilities, and now that we've got a BC derby in the CPL, mm-hmm. Obviously, Edmonton have sadly folded for now, but when you're looking at these expansions, is it kind of looking for the provinces that maybe don't have a team, or how much will creating a local rivalry, like getting another Alberta Derby or getting a Prairie Derby, play into your decisions as to where you want these teams to be?
There's economic decisions, right? The larger population centers make a lot of sense because we need to sell tickets and we need to provide value for our broadcast partners. But we need certain conditions for us to be successful, and that starts with a great ownership group. Have to have a facility to play in that gives us the opportunity to benefit from the economics of that facility, as well as scheduling that facility. You want to have a community that is, the municipality is excited about us, the corporate community is excited about us. You've got a supporters group who is, wants to get behind and make this their local club. So when those conditions come together, we're going to expand to those markets. There's places like we're not in the province of Quebec right now. We need to be in the province of Quebec, and we're working on that. If you look at a city like London, you think about the big population centers of Canada. London has, in any given year, 13 teams in either the Premier League or the Championship, and so the Greater Toronto area, I think, can support more clubs. We're doing that in Vancouver and BC, where we've got the Langley and Langford. And you could probably do that in Quebec, and then we'll fill in the gaps. We'd like to be back in Edmonton. Great market. We just didn't have the right conditions to be successful there. But we think we'll be back in Edmonton as well.
Yeah, and I know there's exciting things happening in Alberta with League One as well, and Clark Stadium's got a new tenant now in an academy. I love what they're doing out there, BTB. So hopefully, we can get that Alberta and the El Clasico back in some form. Mm-hmm. Looking at some of the changes that's been made for this season. So there's a new playoff format. Now, I'll be honest, when I first saw it, I wasn't sure about it. Like, I watched some curling, so I understand the page system. But the more I've looked at it and the more I've talked to people about it, I'm quite excited by it, because it isn't just a case now that you can have a great season and be one and done if you're one of the top two teams, so you've got that second chance. Right. What was behind the thinking of having this particular format?
Well, we're a young league, and we want to create, we want to experiment, and we want to create excitement around our league. And you're being a Scottish football fan, you understand the importance of a regular season. And last year we instituted a trophy, if you will, for our regular season champion. Really important. The team that is the best team over the grind of an entire season needs to be rewarded. But we also are in North America, and playoffs are part of what professional sports do here. And so we want to be able to have that system in place as well. The beauty of it, they're not mutually exclusive. There's two trophies that are really meaningful, and they're really meaningful because each one of those trophies qualifies you for the CONCACAF Champions League.
Yeah.
And what we wanted to do is we didn't want to lose steam after our regular season. We wanted our regular season to have meaning, because sometimes in a lot of the other North American leagues, you see teams tanking, you see teams resting players and those sort of things. And so our playoff format really rewards excellence during the regular season with benefits in the postseason. We also wanted to reward our top four finishers to make sure each one of them had a home playoff game for their fans. And every single game now in the playoffs is a final. It's one and done. You win, you move on. You lose, you go home. So there's that drama in every single game. If you miss a game, you missed it. It also allows us as a league, as well as whoever is hosting the final, 2 weeks to prepare for that.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of things we like about this format. I don't think you're ever going to find a perfect playoff format, but we're really excited about this because it's a balance of rewarding excellence of the regular season, making sure that the best teams have home games, providing a chance for us to plan for an exciting final. And we're looking forward to it. And if it doesn't work, we'll change it. But we think this is going to work and be really popular.
Yeah, I think it will too. And I mean, it won't have taken you long in your new role to know that you can never please everyone in Canadian soccer. You're always going to have some folk that like
Sure.
stuff and some folk that don't, as with most things. But
Yeah.
those two qualification spots for the Champions League are obviously massive for the league, for the clubs
Yeah.
that's going to be involved. It's a competition I love, and it just needs to grow that little bit, which this new format will. But
Yeah.
this is obviously a chance to put the Canadian Premier League on the map, to have more eyes on it, possibly attract better talent as well from overseas that want to come and make the CPL a destination league of choice.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it that it's a measuring stick for our young league, and our goal is to have 3 slots actually, because the winner of the Canadian Championships also qualifies for the for that event, and we want to have 3 of our clubs in there, which would be an unbelievable result for us. But it's a measuring stick, because not only does it pit us against the most storied clubs in the region, but it's something to aspire for each one of the clubs. And when we do well in that event, it's going to wake some people up and say, hey, you know, we didn't know about the Canadian Premier League. We didn't know about Forge or Atletico Ottawa before. And now that, we're in that bigger fishbowl, if you will, we're going to get that recognition, as well as, I think in some cases, probably a wake-up call and see, okay, this is where this is what we have to do to be competitive. And our goal is to be one of the top leagues in CONCACAF. And this is going to be our measuring stick.
I mean, I'm heavily involved with TSS Rovers, so I'm hoping the CPL doesn't get that 3rd spot this year and that TSS get that spot. But yeah, going forward, I mean, it's huge. And like, if we're looking at attracting players to the league, Canadians, like experienced Canadians, international players, the player compensation was obviously increased for this year. The salary budget's increased as well. How much of having something like MLS Next Pro did that play into it? Because a few guys, not a lot, but a few have chosen to go the MLS Next Pro route as opposed to staying in the CPL or coming to the CPL. Do you see that as one of your biggest challenges for getting players, like that competition between these 2 leagues?
Not necessarily. Every player has got their own path. Some players are going to go play college in the U.S. or go to U Sports. Some players develop early and then they fizzle out. Some players develop late, and you look at Joel Waterman, right? He came through U Sports to CPL, and then he makes his way onto the Canadian national team. So we just have to do a great job of creating opportunities at our clubs and within our league, and we're not going to be lacking for talent.
The overage rule in the league for international players, my understanding is the clubs are allowed 3 over the age of 23. There'd been, like here in Vancouver, for example, there was murmurs. Camilo maybe wanted to come back to BC, but obviously Vancouver FC don't have that ability to fit someone like that in. If there was more interest, especially with the clubs being in the Champions League, from international players, is that something you would look at increasing the maximum number of overage internationals you can have, or do you really want to just focus on the Canadian aspect?
It's a balance. It's a delicate balance. Part of why we were created was to help the Canadian national team do better. So if we aren't giving Canadian players, not just players, referees, administrators, media people, opportunity to grow into this sport, we're not following our mandate. But we also have to create a great product on the field that people want to pay for. We have to create a product on the field that players aspire to being part of. We got to create a product on the field that's competitive, not just within our country, but outside when we get into the Champions League. You may have noticed that this week we made an announcement about a hire, the head of football in Costa, Smirnotis, and he's got an incredible track record of everything from club building in the youth ranks to club building within CPL, and he's going to help us navigate those waters, because nobody has done it more successfully than he has done it. He's a proven winner. He's a builder of things, and I'm excited to have him on my team and our team because he's going to help us figure out in a way that creates and strikes that right balance.
Two last things to ask you. So one of the big things this year, there's been more sponsors coming into the league. It's nice to have every team with an individual sponsor this year as opposed to shared jerseys. And the league's going to continue to grow. Part of that is you want to get more bums and seats. You want to get bigger crowds there as well. Mm-hmm. Now, the One Soccer deal, it's a fantastic deal for the league, having that investment, but it maybe doesn't get the casual eyes on it. In year one, there was that tie-up with CBC to have a game of the week. Is that something you'd like to see the league have again, to get on one of the national TV channels, to get the product out there to more eyeballs?
Yeah, watch this space. The challenge with One Soccer, they're so incredibly dedicated to the sport. They've got great voices. They care deeply. The challenge has been getting distribution on the two major cable systems between Rogers and Shaw.
Yeah, I'm on Telus, which is lucky. So
Telus, who is not only carries One Soccer, but also became a sponsor of us recently. So we're big fans of Telus and encourage everybody to support them. But you may have seen that we along with One Soccer and MediaPro filed an undue preference claim against Rogers, and the CRTC, the regulator, ruled in our favor, and those discussions are ongoing right now. And we are very bullish about increasing the carriage of One Soccer so that more people can watch Canadian soccer. And it's not just CPL, it's your national teams, and as well as down to League One. And that ruling is going to be really important to the growth of soccer. So I say watch this space.
Fantastic. And just the last thing, we've talked about expansion and everything that you hope to have, and I think everyone hopes for a Division 2 promotion relegation, more League Ones around it. When the league started, there was talk about the women's game, and obviously that's been in the spotlight a lot. With this Project 8 group starting, is the CPL still looking at launching a women's league? Are you open to working with Project 8, or are you happy to hand that over to them now?
All opportunities are on the table. We're interested in anything that grows soccer in Canada and create sustainable business models. We know how hard it is to grow a league, and I think Diana is looking at that right now and saying, I agree. We've had discussions, and those discussions are ongoing. I think Canada should have a women's professional league. We are doing what we can within League One. You probably knowing how much you know about League One, is that we hosted the first women's provincial championship, and as League One expands, we'll continue to build that pyramid. And these discussions are going to be ongoing. I'm a huge fan and supporter of the women's game, and again, this is something that is evolving in real time.
That's great. Thank you so much for your time today, Mark. It's been a pleasure chatting to you, and good luck for this season. I hope everything goes wonderful. Thank you. I hope to see you at the Vancouver opener on May 7th. I'm commentating on League One that day. I can't go. It's a horrible clash, and it's like really annoyed me. So some great stuff there from Mark Noonan. Also want to give a big shout out to Laura Armstrong for helping set that up. Laura was so busy on Friday. She was on all the pre-game calls. The Vancouver FC call started a little bit late because I was still chatting to Mark Noonan, so she was waiting for me to finish that. So I genuinely really appreciate Laura for setting that up and doing that. And I thought she did a great job. I enjoyed that. Was a great time with Afshin and Callum. Yeah, like Laura's doing a fantastic job with it. You put that out as that was an extra podcast. Yeah, right? So we put the pre-game audio out for that, and also the James Merriman and Josh Hurd
Yes.
press conference in the morning. And as I mentioned in the extra podcast, we get access to all these pre and post game CPL podcasts that don't appear anywhere, which I feel is a waste, that genuinely do. So if people would like to hear more of that, let us know, and we'll stick them in the extra podcasts. And if there's anything really juicy comes up, we'll put them in our main podcast as well. But yeah, I just wanted to, for the rest of this part, just go over a couple of the things that Mark Noonan talked about there. And we talked about expansion, and he's talked about this in a few interviews over the weekend, but what he said to me there was he wants to see 12 teams playing by 2026. And ideally, in the next decade, double the number of teams in the league to 16.
Yep.
Get into Quebec for sure. And, I mean, he talked for expansion about looking at a number of factors. Some of it is population. Because, yeah, it might be great to say, I would love a team, for example, in PEI. But would that generate the kind of support that would be needed? Is the population there to make it sustainable? Is the local talent there to make it sustainable? Obviously, you've got things like League One Atlantic that might be starting that's going to help with that, help Halifax. I mean, ideally for me, every province would have a team.
Yeah.
But that might obviously not be the feasible thing. So, I mean, he's saying the conditions are like population, the corporate infrastructure to support it, and obviously put money into it. He talked about having a passionate supporters group as a key to getting teams to come to certain markets. And we've seen that all over Canada. There's a lot of cities and municipalities that have active supporters groups that are trying to bring a CPL team there. But he also talked about infrastructure. He doesn't ideally want to see shared stadiums. Soccer-specific stadiums, or stadiums where the club has the first say in what goes on, is what they're looking for. And that's what you want to hear from the Commissioner for taking this league now to the next level.
Oh, totally. I like the plan in terms of filling out the league. Yeah, like we've said before, I think I've said before on the podcast, I think 16 is probably the maximum you want in your first division. In a country with where we're at in terms of football development. I think that's like the max. I would say less than 12 wouldn't be ideal, overall. Obviously we're growing, so we're not there yet. We're not even at 12 yet. But 16 I think would be great. Like I think, is it Portugal has 16? There's like countries like that where they're geographically smaller and but they're way ahead of us in terms of football, football development.
Well, yeah, like I think the English Premier is too big.
Oh yeah, totally.
But you're never going to have that smaller because
but they
clubs don't want. Well, they looked at it, and then they've also looked at like closed shop with like no promotion and stuff.
There was a year or two where they had 22, and then they went back to 20, didn't they?
Yeah, but I think we're not going less than 20 there.
Yeah, and see, I think you should have no more than 18. I think 18 is the ideal number in terms of also like games played and competitive wise and all that kind of stuff. But
he also said ideally what he'd like when they get to the, like, say 16 is an Eastern Conference and a Western Conference and have it a little bit more regional. That I'm not as excited by.
No.
As long as there was at least a couple of like crossover matches and stuff. But
that's his I think MLS roots coming through a little bit too much, because I think one of the disadvantages for the league, especially or it's something that obviously comes from the size that it is now.
Well, yeah,
this is a 4 games against each team, which is not good. I think you get to 16.
It's like we've had this in Scotland for years, and it's horrible because it's like another game against whoever. And
exactly. You need, like, getting to the 16 means you have home and away against everyone. You can even do like the real proper way where it's like the teams you play in order, you play them in the exact same order the second half of the season, but if you play them home, then you play them away, make it a proper.
I think he's more thinking about it though, in terms of like rivalries, getting support in, but also travel costs, because it is.
Well, here's the thing, though.
Prohibitive, really.
I think, though, hopefully, as you grow, as things grow, hopefully, you're playing. If they do grow regionally the way they want to, then you're cutting down on some of that travel cost, anyways. So, like, for example, right, instead of like Pacific having to fly twice to Halifax, they're going to fly there once, right? So as you raise the teams, whatever, Now, if they do have a team in every province, and you're still having, okay, you're flying to Newfoundland once and PEI once and whatever. But in principle, I do like that idea of wanting to have long term massive picture. Having clubs in every province, I think, is key, especially as you're building.
To be fair, he didn't say every province. It's me that's putting that forward.
Oh, okay.
That's my hope.
Sure.
He's wanting big markets. Like he's talked about, he feels the GTA can support more clubs.
See,
he'd also like 2 clubs in Quebec.
Yeah, well, I think there should be 2 clubs in Quebec, easy, Montreal and Quebec City, or even if you want one of those plus Trois-Rivières or whatever. But obviously, Quebec City, Montreal are the bigger populations. The GTA is a weird thing, though, Michael, and you've seen it with the inability to get to make York United more meaningful and relevant and engaged. Because again, I grew up there, but I'm not like I was at that point in my life, I wasn't embedded in the football community, right? I wasn't connected to it in the same way. I didn't play in a club growing up or anything like that. But the thing with it there is there's so many people in that area who are into football, but they haven't been able to engage them in the CPL the CPL. And then on top of that, you have this issue, which I think there's been many articles about. I don't know if this is factual or official or whatever, but they're trying to move York United to a new stadium that will be at the racing grounds, kind of by the airport. I forget what it's called right now.
Because they're not far from the airport as they are. Because they're at the university. Because I had a look, because the Whitecaps might be going there in May, and I might have a little trip. So.
Yeah, but they're not. No, but this is further south.
Right.
It's way more like, it's a way different community completely. They would be moving to a totally different community.
Well, it's like, because when Mark was talking about the GTA, because he'd said, if you look at a place like London, and I thought, this is how long I've been living in Canada now, I thought he meant London, Ontario, but he meant London, England, and about how many clubs there is in a small area. But obviously they've got years and years of culture and decades and centuries of culture in the team.
That's the thing. Are you talking on Ontario? You need a team in Kitchener-Waterloo, and you talk about longtime supporters. There is longtime supporters there who have been trying to get a club to come there, right? They just haven't had the money. They haven't had the money person yet.
Well, they're always good in the USL PDL. I remember seeing KW United playing down at Starfire in a Final Four, and they won it.
The other one is, and I know there's been issues or whatever, and I can't remember them all, but or I can't remember the one specific issue, but what they've been doing in Peterborough, right, has been there's been encouraging signs there. And then you talk about smaller communities. You think of Slamos, Tampa Bay, Thunder Bay Chill, right?
It's really close to all the other things.
But no, so anyways, there's lots.
I think of like Vaughan Azzurri, it's like you look at Vaughan and what infrastructure there, and Oakville, and like I think of the big League One clubs.
But that's the thing, though, right? Like Vaughan is in York region, where York is.
Do they draw more? I've never looked at this, but do they draw more fans, I wonder, than York?
I doubt it, but I'm not sure.
That's something for me to
maybe their Voyageurs Cup matches are comparable, but.
Well, talking about League One teams.
What I want to say about the GTA, though, it is you have to do something I think you have to do something in the right way, and I think York 9/York United has failed to do that. I don't say that as to be harsh or critical or pile on. It's a place I grew up in my middle school and high school years. My sister still lives there. My parents have moved a little bit south, but my sister still lives there. I love the community. I just wish that there was. I wish that there could be I wish that they could try more ways to engage in a deeper way. So going into the GTA and other places, you have to be very strategic, and you have to be a little bit more dialed in, right? And you have to maybe choose one of the communities to where you're going to say this, like the opposite of what York 9, York United is, the opposite of what Vancouver FC is, and say we are this suburb, or we are this part of Toronto. This is our identity. We're drawing from this number of hundreds of thousands of people, and we are. I think that they need to do that. I think that, and it's again not even just the opposite of what Vancouver FC has done. It's the opposite of what essentially every other club has done in the CPL, saying we're this big area, and you got to say, no, we're in this large population area, and we're this smaller community, which is still hundreds of thousands of people. And I think it will be interesting to see. The best place to do that would be Toronto. Number one would be Toronto, because the population centers are diverse. There's enough of them. I mean, and then if you want to be, I mean, there could be tie-ins, right? Because there is Ajax is there, right? if you want,
well, that's the thing. Like, you've started it with Atletico.
Totally.
Yeah.
So if you want to have a tie-in, you could try there. Although I don't think Ajax would be looking for a tie to a community called Ajax.
Probably not.
But anyway, so there's ways.
But it all goes into like the infrastructure though as well, because there's no point. Like, you have to have a stadium or a city that's willing to put a stadium up.
Yeah.
And that, as we know, is not the easiest thing to get done in the modern world, because folk feel there's better things to spend their money on. But I mean, expansion, everyone wants to see it. Now, there's a few things I didn't get a chance to ask him, because we had a hard 15 minutes because we were going on to this other call. Yes, I went to 18, but there was a few other things I wanted to ask. I didn't get a chance to ask about the Kelowna rumours, but from everything that I've been told, Kelowna should be coming into the league next year or the year after, but next year was a thing that they were targeting.
I need to do some follow-up, because there is, in the long-term plans, there is another Lower Mainland based team that they've had ideals for.
Yeah, that was AFTN FC, and I'll update after recording.
Yeah, well, I haven't done a check-in on that one in a while, and I probably should.
Well, I mean, there could be some more BC teams in the CPL, because we talked about something which excites me, and it's CPL Division 2. And what the league's plan, I don't know how soon, but what they would love is to take the best League One teams from across Canada and get them to make the jump to a CPL Division 2, and then ultimately have promotion and relegation.
Yeah.
Now, after I finished speaking to him, I sent a message to Colin and Willie at TSS going, "Oh, get ready for the CPL." And Willie's like, "I'll just leave my car keys on the beach, leave my car to my wife. I'm just walking in the water now."
So I agree. I agree with you in terms of long-term vision. Like, again, the one thing I like about what the CPL did from the start was say, we would like to have Pro Rel when we're ready for it. Like, it's never been like, oh, maybe we'll see, or, you know, MLS is always putting out these clickbait articles about, in 20 years maybe we'll do that. No, they said from the beginning, we want to do that, but in the right timing. It'll be great to see how and when we're ready for that. My concern would be, you talk about the top of the pyramid, the CPL, having issues around travel and whatever. And you and I have had interesting conversations about the challenges of a non-CPL or MLS side hosting a Voyageurs Cup match.
Yes, which we may touch on in the last part as well, but we'll see.
So yeah, I can only imagine what, the increased operating budget that would be required to go from a League One, Ontario, BC, Prairie, whatever, into CPL 2, right?
I think they would make that regional, though. I think you'd have to.
Oh, then I would be okay with that. But
yeah, I'd be very obviously I'm a big League One guy. We support TSS Rovers and Altitude, and we do our commentary. 4 teams last year. This year TBC, at least 2. We're still working on the other 2. But, I mean, there's issues with that as well in the expansion. But, I mean, we're going to have Dino Rossi on the show soon as well, just to talk about League One. So we'll maybe talk about some more things there. But Mark Noonan said it's a world of possibilities because we're just getting started. I think that's what we have to remember. The league, this is just the 5th season of it. And the league is just getting started. And the possibilities are massive for what this league could be, if the right investment is there, if they do things right. And it's maybe not moved as quickly as some folk would want. Losing Edmonton's not been ideal, but it's a market they hope to get a team in again at some point. But they're doing everything, or they're doing most things right. I mean, there's still some things not ideal. Eyeballs on the league, for example, and we won't go into the whole One Soccer thing again, but we talked a little bit about it with Mark there, and he said, watch this space redistributing. and getting more eyeballs on it on TV, because there's obviously the whole, they took Rogers and Shaw and things to court, and they seem to have won that battle for getting wider distribution of One Soccer.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if folk are aware, but on Telus you can actually get One Soccer for $5 a month. So it's actually cheaper than just subscribing to the app on One Soccer. So if anyone's thinking about it, $5 a month, it's nothing. I've got football just now. It runs out at the end of June. Then I'm just going to add back into my Telus package One Soccer. I just need to pay it for July, August, September, October. So $20 and I'll get the rest of the season.
Yeah, I had not great experience in the past with Telus, not for TV but for mobile. And now I also have a couple other reasons why I don't want to use Telus.
The Pacific and Whitecaps, of course, yes. It makes me
But
want
you're right.
to have
But you're
even
right.
more.
But you're right about
We'll get them as a sponsor for the show next.
Oh my.
But I mean, what I'd asked him, which he didn't really give an answer to, aside from Watch the Space, so it might have been involved in Watch the Space, is getting a deal like they had with CBC to get a game of the week on one of the big channels. So maybe they can strike a deal with Rogers so that a game of the week is on Sportsnet, and then Rogers let One Soccer onto their platform or something. Who knows? Last thing we asked him about, of course, was the Women's League, and he said they're still interested in anything that grows the game in Canada and sustainable business models. And he did say, like, Diana Matheson and her Project 8 group have found out a lot about sustainable business models, and their thing to do this, but they're open to working with them. I think they are still open to have their own women's league, and I mean, we'll see how that goes. I mean, it's all about growing the game in Canada, and we do need more folk to work together and just pull in the same direction, which so far too long in Canada soccer, BC soccer in particular, there's so many folk you feel are pulling in different directions. This is such an exciting time for the sport here, and 2026 is just going to like make the game of football stratospheric in Canada, and you want everyone to be working together so that by the end of that World Cup, the country as a whole, national teams, local leagues, CPL, MLS teams, everything is in a better place. So I'm sure that's what we're all wanting. That is it for our CPL chat. We are going to turn our attentions now to the Whitecaps, MLS, and a good run continues for the Whitecaps, even if the goals aren't maybe coming. But we'll be back chatting about that after this.
Hi, I'm Martin Nash, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Words are in my head, but I can't enunciate them clearly. Headphones on your head, they prevent a chance to even try.
Some might find me borderline attractive from afar, but afar is not where I can stay, and there you are. Though I want you, I know I haven't a chance, still I want you. Charlie delusional here. I know yes and no in a couple dozen other languages, but your form of no is the kind of look I can't deny. Tell me your persisting sound stupidity the same. Tell me, is resistance so enticing? Please explain. Though I want you, I know I haven't a chance, still I want you. Charlie delusional here.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, it's another song by our Artist of the Month, Sparks, but this is a collaborative effort. An American-Scottish supergroup, if you will. FFS, which stands for Franz Ferdinand Sparks. They released their one and only album in 2015, a self-titled affair. And this was the first single released from that album. It was written by Ron and Russell Mail from Sparks. Johnny Delusional is the song. And I think if we're talking about an American-Scottish supergroup in Whitecaps terms, hopefully that is what the Ryan Gauld, Julian Gressel partnership can be for the Whitecaps come the end of the season. I still think the Whitecaps can be top 4 in the West. Maybe that's just me being Johnny Delusional here. I mean, the phrase FFS has certainly been used and uttered many times by Whitecaps fans over the MLS era. But right now, they're riding the crest of a wave. Maybe not a bomb, that's for all you surfers out there, but a good one nonetheless. 6 games unbeaten now, 3 clean sheets in a row, 320 minutes without conceding a goal. They're 107 minutes away from the club's record shutout streak. That could be possible with the games coming up, Colorado at home next. This weekend's action, Whitecaps headed down to Texas. Difficult place to play. 0-0 draw with Austin. Now, we're not going to go too much into the game. We're just going to do a quick roundup because it wasn't exactly a match to set the heather on fire, but it was a good road point in a tough place to play, albeit against a team that's struggling a little bit just now. Both sides had the chances. Neither dominated. Neither really looked the most likely to snatch the win. Brad Stuver had a couple of good saves to deny the Whitecaps, including a great one to keep Brian White off. But overall, Zach, fairly decent performance. A point, 7 from 9, not bad really from this 3-game stretch.
Yeah, I think a couple of things. One, yeah, great. It's always great when you get a point or points on the road in MLS. So you can't take anything away from that. I think if there's a couple of concerns from the game is I'll just highlight 3 things. One is they're playing again. It's like 3 games in a row where they're playing teams that are in really poor form. This team was better than some of their previous opponents, obviously, but still they're not who they used to be, even with Driussi.
He's looking a shadow of himself this season so far.
Number 2, even though they didn't concede any goals and they overall improved, there was still that in the 11th minute the chance, the header that hit the post
where they kind of got in their own way. Otherwise, the Austin guys, that would have been 1-0.
And again, it was questionable marking from the second phase of a corner kick. So I think they've done better on those for sure. But still, I think if you're the coaching staff, you'll be looking at it saying, hey, we still need to tighten that up. We still need to make sure our players are making the right choices, as Vinny would say, or marking the right space or whatever it is they're doing. The third thing, and this is both maybe a negative and a positive, but I think it was Betcher who had that one chance where he tried to chip the keeper or lob the keeper.
He was in.
He was in alone. He needed to score that.
Yeah.
Now, having said all that, I think Vancouver was the better team. Like, I think they were the more likely team to win. They created the better chances. Like you said, I think Gressel is in great form.
He is. Like, he had that spell where he had 3 chances in a 2-minute spell, and you're like, oh, they are going to struggle to keep hold of him. I mean, he is going to command a big contract at the end of this year, and if they don't want to pay it, they'll get a good deal by moving him on.
He's the kind of player that even when he takes a shot that misses the net, you're like, you're on the edge of your seat because you think it's going to bounce. When he hits the ground, and you're like, oh, that's going to go.
Yeah, the free kick he took as well. I'd love to know how much power he got in that and what speed that was going at.
Or even I think it was his first chance where Gauld lays it off to him and he just tries to decide to first time it. Yeah. It's not, the placement is not great, but you're like, you have a feeling like this could go in. Like, you feel
he's full of confidence. And I asked him that before the LAFC game. I said, you can tell watching you that you're just flowing with confidence right now.
And as much as I still think he should be playing as a right back or right wing back, I think Vanny's getting lots out of him at the 8. is it the best for the team? Well, they're getting points, so you can't argue with that. Long term, I still think it's probably not the best decision for them on the whole, but it's working for them. So,
Someone actually asked
good for them.
Afshin after the game on Saturday, is Caden Chung Vancouver's Julian Gressel? A right back, right wing back that's playing an 8.
Well, yeah. Well, he was at the altitude game where he did a lot of that. I was at the game, and I don't know if it was you or other people were telling me that he kept on turning inside like an 8. I think Caden. I had a good conversation with him on Thursday night. Caden Chung is a vital part of Vancouver FC, both defending and going forward. I think you saw that. I think you saw that in the game. You've seen that in the preseason. You see that by just looking at the roster. Like, he has the ability, and it's exciting time in his life, and I'm excited that he's a part of the team and a part of the experience. One of the experience.
Yeah, we need to get him on the show again. Actually, we haven't spoken to Caden for ages. But back to Whitecaps, and Julian Gressel. But for as good as Julian Gressel has been, and this is my big worry.
Oh yeah,
Ryan Gold is just off his game right now. I mean, he had a decent enough game against Portland, which I think Vanny, after the game last week, said he felt it was his best game of the season. I disagree. I think the first home game of the season was his best game of the season. I don't know what it is. And he has talked about before he found the Texas teams some of the hardest places to visit because just of the weather and everything. And our Scottish bodies aren't used to this. But just in general, I don't know what it is. He just is not looking himself. Now, maybe he finds his form when we really need it summer onwards. That's great. But I don't know what it is just now that's got him off his game.
Yeah. I've seen lots of people talking about that as well in different places. But think about it. I think the upside for, if you're a Whitecaps fan, the upside is that you're getting points and you're on this run, and he's not at his best. So I think that's kind of the glass half full way to look at it. So hopefully he finds form, hopefully he gets over whatever is holding him back or whatever. And he can hit form, and then you can be even better. So a game like today, you take all 3 points if he's maybe in top form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if the Whitecaps can keep winning at home and just pick up these points, these draws on the road, it's going to have them comfortably in the playoffs come the end of the season. I don't think there's any question on that. They've got a bye week now to regroup, kind of recuperate, work on the things that they need to work on defensively, get that kind of chemistry going a little bit in the attack. Because we'd been singing the praises of how well Gressel and Schopf had kind of linked up, and then Schopf got that injury, and now Gressel's trying to, I guess, get that with Ali Ahmed. There'd been a lot of hype about Ali and Simon, obviously, after that standout performance as well, but they've maybe just regressed to the mean, if you want to use that as a phrase. But when they're getting their chances, they're still playing very well. So a lot of still positives and exciting things to think about. And I think this week off is going to be good for them. It's been a busy schedule. That was their 5th game in 15 days. We'll touch on the Champions League exit. I mean, LAFC, I felt on Tuesday night, they didn't really have to get out of first gear all that much. It kind of felt that they just did the job. I do wonder, and it probably wouldn't have made too much of a difference, but that chance Diber Caicedo had 4 minutes in, he buries that to pull that goal back. What goes through LAFC's mind at that point, considering what happened in the previous round with Aluaenzi? It may not have made any difference, but you'd ask the question. And then it's how both teams approached it after that. But once Vela scored that penalty, I mean, that was game over. I was on the post-game show on the radio, and I think me and Colin Miller disagreed on this, because Colin was shaking his head, he said, after I'd said what I had said. I was surprised that there wasn't more young guys on the bench for that game on Tuesday, because if it had got to half-time and you thought, well, we're 4 goals down now, the game's out of sight, or 5 goals, I think it might even have been, I can't even remember what it was at half-time. Bring the young guys on and give them that opportunity to play, and who cares if the score gets out of hand a little bit by that point? You're out anyway. I think it would have been a good experience for someone like Cam Habibullah, who's lighting it up in WFC2, got another goal today, third goal of the season for him. Reward a guy like Antoine Coupland or Gloria Amanda for how well they've done. Even play like Mattea Capagna was on the bench, have him or Yao or someone come on just to get those minutes under their belt.
A number of people I saw specifically talking about Yao and being like, yeah, how's he not getting into a game like this? Other than the fact that maybe it would expose him when it comes to pace or whatever. But
maybe. I mean, I guess at some points as well, if Ellie turned the screw, then it could have been really bad. When I saw the starting lineups and I saw Ellie's lineup, I feared the worst. So, I mean, another 3-0 defeat wasn't the worst it could have been. We've seen a lot worse down there. I mean, you saw how they picked apart LA Galaxy at times today, which we'll come to in a sec.
Yeah. I
mean, they're such a good team. It was just a shame, really, for the Whitecaps that they got them in the draw, really. It would have been nice to have that Mexican team. But, I mean, it's whet their appetite. They want to be in this competition. I want them to be in this competition. So, fingers crossed, we will see it again next year. And I don't think it's had too detrimental an effect on their season either, as we've seen with other Champions League teams in the past.
On the whole, yes. I think we need to see how things go and how big some of the drop points were in that period, even though in general, they've been on a pretty positive run, especially these last few games. Yeah, we'll see closer to the end of the year how significant things significant role this played.
The point of the weekend, Whitecaps still in 8th in the West, sitting the playoff places. We'll do a quick MLS Western roundup now. We're not going to delve into a lot of the games in depth. There's a couple I do want to, and a couple we'll just kind of give you the main talking points. And I want to start, we're not going to go in the order they were played like we usually do, because I want to start with the Cascadian Derby, because it was Derby week. That's why we played Austin.
Austin, yeah, of course.
I thought, we've played Austin
because
Dallas are going to be playing Houston. But Dallas weren't playing Houston.
Yeah, it was kind of weird.
And, yeah, it was just weird in general. I'm not quite sure what was going on. But, second Cascadia Derby of the season, and a very much different looking Portland side to the one that we saw last week. Although, they just waited until the latest possible minute, 20 minutes of the game to go before finding their spark. It was goalless at the half.
Yeah.
Pretty dull game, really, to be honest. Certainly came on fire in the second. Now, Portland's woeful defending came to the fore again in the 58th minute. They left Raul Ruiz-Diaz wide open to finish off a cutback with aplomb. And I mean, Zach, who wouldn't want a player like Ruiz-Diaz on their team?
I couldn't have said it better myself, Michael.
I thought I would just say before you said it. Timbers, though, tied it up very much against the run of play in the 71st minute. A stunning Dairon Asprilla bicycle kick. And then that brought the Timbers army really to life. Now, they've been loud during the game, but the roof almost came off. It just took them to another level. It took the Timbers on the pitch to another level.
I saw this highlight put out by Abe, a well-known member of the Timbers Army who's relocated to Norway. He's a cider.
I knew he was in Washington for a while.
No, he's in Norway. He's living in Norway now. Anyways, I knew the score, but I hadn't seen any of the goals until I saw Abe post the bicycle kick, and I was like, "Oh man!"
Yeah, it was what they needed, I think, to possibly ignite their season.
And I originally saw the score because there was this whole thing about Portland tweeting out or whatever about how, they crushed their rivals or whatever. Talking about Seattle is their rival, but using like the plural form because of the sentence structure. And then Whitecaps fans being, but we just beat them. Or whatever.
Yeah, and they'd be like, sorry, who are you guys?
Exactly. There was a little bit of that.
Yeah, I can imagine. So 5 minutes later, it's 2-1. The Timbers have the lead. Nathan Fogaccia, like his bread. A nice solo goal.
I knew you were going to say that.
Nice solo goal. Little touch to make space. Runs in on goal. Boom. 5 minutes after that, it's 3-1. Nizgoda with his first goal in 259 days, the commentator let us know. Then the 89th, another belter of a goal. Mosquera a rocket from the edge of the box on a quick counter after Freddie Montero threw himself down the box looking for a penalty that was not given. It was reviewed by VAR, but not given. What a last 20 minutes.
Maybe he thought some of those pebbles in the turf were coffee beans or something.
Maybe, and just was getting a little taster for his next new blend at the shop.
Yeah.
But I mean, that last 20 minutes, which I mean, thankfully was not anything that we saw from that BC place the week before. Big result for the team, probably has ignited their season. But I think for Gio Savarese as well, he badly needed that, and that has bought him time.
How many? I didn't look at this. How many? What was the difference in terms of players? Like, because they had some players come back, right? That didn't play.
Yeah, a couple, not too many. I didn't see how many it was, but yeah, they're still pretty beat up.
They really got up for playing the Flanders, so good for them.
It was a very enjoyable game as well. I'd originally planned to just watch the start of it and then spend time with Caitlin and then watch the rest when she went to bed. Found myself watching the whole game. The other big derby was on Sunday, the LA derby, the first one of the season since the first one was washed out. And it finished LA Galaxy 2, LAFC 3. Carlos Vela put LAFC up in the 22nd before Tyler Boyd equalised with another rocket from this weekend in the 41st minute. He hit that.
But he did, but the keeper gets a hand to it.
Yeah. I mean, it was going with some force.
It was a powerful shot. You just felt a little bit like, okay, maybe.
That's how my finger looks like this.
From making a save?
Yeah.
But did yours go in, or did you make the save?
Well, this is more embarrassing. I was trying to catch an American football at a Scottish Claymores event. I was playing a defensive play, so I was to try and tip it away before the guy caught it. And to my credit, I did, at the detriment of my finger that now looks like this.
Hey, well, you caught it. Hey, the catch was worth it.
I made the play.
That's right.
The play. So it was a save of sorts. I saved a touchdown. Look at me talking about pigskin. Second half, Vela penalty, then Ryan Hollingshead. They scored 2 goals in 2 minutes, LAFC. Greg Vanny later described those 2 goals as 2 colossal mistakes. Hard to argue with that.
Yeah.
Vanny's been on a lot of diatribes this season so far. A late one from Marco Delgado kind of made things interesting, but LAFC held on.
Well, they held on, except for, was it Chicharito, who was in alone? Had the chance. The keeper made a quality save, but it was like, you need to score that.
And a guy like Chicharito,
you would
think would.
Well, that's the thing. At any level, you need to score. Like that needs to be
like Simon Betcher in on goal. So he's in good company at least.
Yeah, there you go.
Galaxy still winless. The pressure is mounting.
Yeah.
Talking of pressure mounting and winless.
Oh yeah.
SKC. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I watched the highlights of this just before we recorded. 3-0 to San Jose over Kansas City, if anyone hadn't seen it. Kansas City still winless, rooted to the bottom. Peter Vermees, I'm on their mailing list, so I was very interested to read what he said after the game, and he feels the signs are there that they're turning things around. They're just not getting the breaks.
Do you think his new deal was just like so he gets a better severance package or something? Or not severance, but a better exit package?
Looking at, I tell you. I think they must be regretting giving him that.
I say that without trying to take anything away from all he's contributed to football in Kansas City.
But I mean, now it's looking a horrible, horrible deal that they gave him.
Yeah.
Because they feel like they need some new blood in there. Christian Espinoza, 5th goal of the season for San Jose. He's in really good form. He opened the score in the 9th minute before 2 goals from Ibo Bisi either side at half time. Put the game to bed. Now, the first of those was from the spot after Robert Castellanos got sent off. Now, Peter Vermees wasn't happy with the red card. He's not even sure it's a foul, he says. It was a foul.
Yeah.
I can see why it's a red card. It's the last player. But it wasn't really denying a goal-scoring opportunity because, and this was the case Peter Vermees was making, he was goal side of the player. So it's not that the player was bearing down on goal. And he still had a lot of work to do. Penalty, fair enough. A yellow card, I think, would merit. If that had gone against the Whitecaps, I would have been raging. But I don't think you can argue that it was a penalty. He basically horse collars the guy at the deck.
Yeah.
It's a stupid challenge to make. The commentators felt it's because he didn't make a play on the ball. And again, yeah, I guess he didn't really. He just throws the guy at the deck. So, I mean, it's just stupid defending. But piles the pressure on Kansas City now.
Totally.
Last week I said, have the wheels come off the bus for St. Louis? Maybe not. Previously unbeaten, FC Cincinnati go there and they get scuffed 5-1. And it was 5-0 by the 57th minute. And Klaus didn't even get a goal in this one.
Yes. I haven't seen the highlights of this. How many goals how many were set up by the Cincinnati team?
Only one, which was the own goal. It's a
Own
shot
goal, right.
cannoned
Right.
off the post
Okay.
and then off the back of the keeper's head and into the net.
Right.
I always enjoy seeing those. Not
Yeah.
when it's your team. But I
No.
always feel sorry for the keeper as well. Because it goes down as an own goal, but he knows fuck all
I
about
didn't.
it.
I didn't see that one. I saw another goal. Oh, it was in the Bundesliga. I saw a goal like that. I think this weekend. I think it was where it took the shot off the post, off the back of the keeper's head in it.
They don't know anything about that. Just rattle through the rest. Charlotte 2, Colorado 2. Colorado weathered a clit storm in the early going. Took the lead through Max. Max Alves is his full name. He's Brazilian. He's known as Max. What happened to the good old names? Socrates, Ronaldinho. Now you've got Fred and Max. It's different times.
Give me a Bobeto.
Oh,
Any day of the week.
Any day.
He
The
loved.
click came back.
He loved Lothar Matthäus so much he named his kid Matthäus. Bobeto.
Really?
Yeah. Do you remember he scored that goal and they did the celebration at the '94 World Cup?
Yeah.
That was for his child Matthäus, I believe.
If you were to have a third child, what footballer would you name it after?
Well, I wouldn't. Well, actually, I won't tell you the full story, but if we were to have another child and it would have been a boy, we would have called him. Actually, no. Now I don't want to tell you because you're gonna give me grief. I'll tell you another time.
Was it Adolf?
No, of course not.
I don't know. Just stop keeping the German heritage or something.
No.
Where was I? Oh yeah, the clip. So the clip came storming back with 2 goals from Vargas and Josiak in a 3-minute spell, just past the hour mark, before a stoppage time equaliser from Barrios shared the points. 4 games unbeaten now for Colorado as they head to Vancouver in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah.
So maybe not going to be the walkover I was thinking it was going to be, but we'll see how they fare next week. Red Bulls won, Houston won, Dynamo took the lead in the 68th from Coco Carrasquilla. Red Bulls tied it up in the 89th. Omi Fernandez headed home a corner. First road point of the season for Houston. Dallas 2, Salt Lake 1. Marco Farfan, 88th minute winner. Minnesota 1, Orlando 2. Minnesota took the lead. Orlando came back for the win. That was all the action from the Western teams. How that leaves the standings right now. LAFC are the only unbeaten team in Major League Soccer. And they do look the class act.
Rightly so, yeah.
And I'm just waiting. I had the standings loaded up, but for some reason it's now reloading. But I mean, LAFC and Seattle were looking so strong going into this weekend. I still think Seattle's a strong thing, and when you're playing a Cascadia derby, obviously things like that happen. But St. Louis are back top of the West, 18 points from their 8 games. LAFC 17 from 7 with their unbeaten record. Seattle 16 from 8. Dallas 14, San Jose 14, Minnesota 11, Houston 10, Vancouver 10, Portland 8. And then out of the playoffs just now, Austin, Colorado, Salt Lake, and LA and Kansas, bottom, winless, 3 points apiece. I mean, it's still early. They're only 5 points back from the playoff line, but it's not looking good for either of them. You've got to say they need to get a result pretty soon to try and just kickstart their season a little bit.
Yeah.
If we just quickly look at the the two other Canadian teams. Toronto did well, battle back for 2-2 draw.
Yeah, hosting Atlanta.
Yeah, Montreal can't buy a break. Home
Yeah.
opener at Stade Saputo. 1-0 defeat to DC United. And we touched on this in the last show, but that trade to get rid of Kamal Miller, you just wonder, what is happening there? What is that defence?
Are the guys that they got for him, are they like of quality? Like
To be honest, I
feel like I don't know them.
I didn't know them either. And I was like, oh. I mean, they got 1.3 in GAM and 2 players.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that kind of maybe shows you the quality of the 2 players that they got.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But so that 1 point, whatever, that's just for Joey, right? That's for Joey to offset costs or whatever, right? Like,
I guess, yeah.
Unless they use it in some other more meaningful way. Ultimately, it allows him to buy down, use the funny money to buy down, TAM players
or make a bumper trade for someone.
Yeah, but again, can you see that happening when they're so...
Well, I bet they regret
shambles?
Kai Kamara moving on, but then it's like someone said to me this week, oh, who do you think's been the biggest loss for them? And it's like, it's clearly Wilfred Nancy. It's like, you look at all the players that's moved, but I think it's actually Nancy that's been the biggest loss for Montreal.
I agree. I would have fancied his chances at doing a squad rebuild than having switched coaches. Nothing. I don't say that again as a harsh criticism of the current guy, because I don't think he's been given much to work with.
No,
but I think if Nancy had continued with the players he had and their knowledge of him and appreciation of him or whatever, I think they wouldn't be in as big a hole as they're in.
I mean, it's not a bad team when you look at it. And
there's some great elements there for sure.
I mean, even the back 3 that they had yesterday, it was Herrera, who they made the trade for in the off-season with RSL. You had Camacho and you had Joe Waterman. So, I mean, not bad defence. And they did only give up 1 goal, but they're just struggling to put the ball in the net. And they were awful when they were here. I know they were down a man, but they were still absolutely poor and dire.
Yeah.
But anyway, that is our MLS roundup. We've still got one more part to go, and we're going to be turning our attention to the Canadian Championship that gets underway this week, and we'll be back chatting about that after this.
Hi, I'm Philip Dos Santos, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Faced with the smash of a ball indeed, I'm going on about it in the morning to me. I'm losing in the end and I've gone too far. Force 10 from Navarone is a shot by Dodd, cause we never aimed it in the box of isolation. Jason, why does the darkness elope? Cross-sectioned, it's not a drink, and I don't fucking smoke. Jason, why does the darkness elope? Cross-sectioned, it's not a drink, and I don't fucking smoke.
Mummy can't reach, and then a pause. You look different, a large green blob, allergic to your own things. Get married and go on safari.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, it's our former Artist of the Month at AFTN from England, Sleaford Mods. That's a song taken from their 2023 album UK Grim. Force 10 from Navarone. A song, their lyrics express a sense of frustration with the world and a feeling of being trapped in various forms of isolation. And it references the movie Force 10 from Navarone, which is about soldiers trying to destroy a German bridge, sorry Zach, during World War II, suggesting a sense of desperation and a need to smash through walls. It's all metaphors about life. And I've played that song for this part because I'm going to see them on Thursday. Looking forward to it at the Commodore, Sleaford Mods. Should be an absolutely cracking gig. Still tickets available if you want to get along and see them. that concert coming after the Canadian Championship game that I'll be at the night before, and we're going to talk about the Canadian Championship in this part. Hopefully I'll be in a joyous celebratory mood, having seen all 3 of the BC teams moving in to set up a Western Final Four that is all BC teams. That's my dream for how I want things to play out this week. The action in the Canadian Championship kicks off on Tuesday with a pair of games. Forge host PALSQ champs Laval, and Montreal take on League One champions Vaughan Azzurri. Got to fancy Forge to get the job done against Laval. Forge are slow starters sometimes to their seasons, but Laval's season hasn't started yet. Forge did look fairly good in their game against Cavalry. I think it'd be a big shock if Laval went there and came away with the win. But I could see the upset, Zach, in the other game. With the form and the state of Montreal, as we touched about in the last part, I really think Vaughan are in with a chance of pulling off the shock. Now, if it had been in Vaughan, even more so. So, I mean, obviously they are going into enemy territory there. Vaughan have also been a little bit dismantled after their powerhouse unbeaten League One season last year. 21 wins and 3 draws in the regular season was followed by a 2-1 win over Simcoe County Rovers in the semis, and then a 5-1 hammering of Oakville Blue Devils in the League One Ontario final. Now, the team has lost its head coach, Patrice Geyser, to HFX Wanderers. Geyser also took the team's 2 top scorers with him, Massimo Ferrin and Kosei Nwafonso. But still got a good core, still got a strong squad. They've only had 1 game under the belt this season, which was a 2-2 draw last Wednesday with North Toronto Nitros. They were rested this weekend. I think they've got a chance, the way that Montreal is. But again, this could be the confidence-boosting game that kind of kickstarts things for Montreal. I would say if Montreal lose this, I do not see any way that the coach hangs on.
Yeah, that's a fair perspective, but you're right. It feels like they're ripe for a cup set.
I mean, if you're Vaughan, you're rubbing your hands with this.
Totally.
Making history as the first League One side to get through.
Totally.
I was hoping that was going to be TSS on the Wednesday, but if Vaughan can do it on the Tuesday, I'd be delighted for them.
Yeah, I could see. Yeah. You made good points about Montreal earlier, though, that they do actually, for as horrible as their performance and results have been, they do have many quality players.
Yeah.
And so that could, see them through in this opening round, but it would be exciting. I think there's not too many people in this part of the country that would be sad to see Montreal lose a Voyageurs Cup match. I'm really looking forward to the V's Cup, even though I think, it's all at times when I'm working and stuff, and I have to have the game on while I'm doing stuff.
4 o'clock. They're both the same time, those two, 4 o'clock Pacific.
Yeah.
So, I mean, out of the two, I'm obviously going to be watching that Montreal one, because that's the one that's the most interest, I think. There's 3 games on the Wednesday, including the weirdness that there's a double header at York's ground, because Halifax and Ottawa, having a rematch of their CPL game from the weekend, neither team were able to host. They got drawn against each other, so they've had to play at a neutral venue. A 2 o'clock kickoff in the afternoon, which that's going to be packed. I can't remember if we spoke about this on a previous show.
I don't think we did.
Did you hear about what happened with the Halifax supporters and the plane trip they had?
No.
Right, so they had booked a plane trip for the fans to go, special occasion, Porter's Airlines, a return trip. Porter cancelled the return flight, and they weren't able to get another flight back, so they had to cancel that flight for the supporters.
Wait, for which match?
For the Halifax-Ottawa match.
Oh, like yesterday's game?
No, on this Wednesday.
Okay.
So they're going to fly supporters in from Halifax, because it's technically their
home game, right,
but it's
right.
neutral.
Sorry.
So they're going to fly them in for the special occasion.
I
now they couldn't get home.
That. So they canceled. They canceled because they had no way to get home.
Yeah.
Oh.
So they're going to have to make their own way there if they want to go, which is a long way to go for a midweek game.
Isn't this where you connect with like your sponsor airline to? I know it's not a league match, but
well, I mean, yeah, you would hope so, or maybe just get a bunch of Volkswagens and just drive.
Or you could just put out to the community to help you get flights home. No.
Well, it wasn't. What you're looking for, like a Christian Og to kind of jump in a plane and fly
well,
them?
there you go. That's a quick fix right there. I'm sure he'd be happy to. No, I'm yeah. It's for the supporters. So I mean,
yeah. I mean, I felt for them when I read that. I just Halifax just felt they were in a tough position because obviously they didn't want to cancel it, but they didn't want to leave the fans in the lurch, and everyone got their money back. But I mean, I don't know how that one's going to go after how things played out on the weekend. But then after that, it's the big one. Vancouver FC's first ever Canadian Championship game against York, with the winner hosting, possibly, because that's still confusion.
I was going to say, have you gotten any clarity over that?
No.
No.
It seems that things have maybe backtracked a little bit, and the clubs that weren't able to host can now host the quarterfinals.
Well, yeah. Well, how can you say that when you have two clubs who aren't hosting the opening round? Like, yeah.
It's all very weird. But, I mean, it could be Vancouver FC hosting Vancouver Whitecaps in Langley, because the stadium will be ready for that.
Yeah. Well, it's 2 days. It'll be 2 or 3 days after the home opener.
Yeah. That's
it'll
a
be May 9th or
4
10th.
o'clock kickoff. I think it might be 4:30 actually. I've written 4, but now that I'm thinking about it, because that first game's on, it could be 4:30. Either way, we touched on it in the first part, so we won't delve into it. I can honestly see this being 0-0 and going to penalties. I might have to watch it when I get back, because I'm going to be busy doing TSS stuff for prep for the game. So I might try and just avoid the game as much as possible and just enjoy it when I get home, or hopefully enjoy it when I get home.
I really hope it's not a goalless draw, but because obviously I would prefer to avoid this whole shambolic structure of no extra time.
Yeah.
Just in general.
Okay, well, let me make another prediction. I think it will be 0-0, but if it's not, 1-0 Vancouver, Kimani.
Oh, okay. Oh, with the goal scorer. Okay, interesting. I'll say 2-1 Vancouver. I'll say Dero either starts or come on and gets a goal for York. I'll say Romeo gets the first for Vancouver from a set piece or second phase of a set piece. And then I'll say the second is going to be, I'm going to say Bitar.
So it's obviously another momentous occasion for Vancouver FC, their first ever Canadian Championship match. Myself and Felipe got a chance to chat with Afshin just about what this occasion means to him and the club. Here's what he had to say. Hey Afshin, commiserations on the result. Obviously not what you were looking for, but you've got a quick turnaround now going into this game against York. Are you planning on giving some of the other guys a run out, or are you wanting to just continue going with the strong guys that you had out there this afternoon?
It's a very good question. We planned from the beginning for 3 games in 8 days, and obviously, as you saw, we rotated some players even in the second half. And I feel that we have a good strategy going into the York game on Wednesday, and hoping to get a result, because the tournament is very important for our club, and I'm sure we will bounce back from this game very quickly.
And you're obviously starting the season with a lot of games away from home, which must also in some senses bond this team, because you're going to have a lot of time together, a lot of travelling time together. I know obviously you'd like a home game sooner than you're getting, but do you feel this spell of games away from home is really going to help this club bond as a unit and get the chemistry going?
I believe that schedules and stadium structures, those are out of my control, of course, and my job is to create a strategy and a playing style that gives us the opportunity to get as many points as possible on the road and at home. Having said that, we can't wait to play at home, because we see the stadium every day in front of us, because we train right next to the stadium. It's these seats are being added one by one. Just every one of them just gives us an extra vitamin. So we can't wait to see our fans. You saw already the traveling fans. I think this club is going to be a very special club. I can feel it already. So home or away, doesn't matter where we play. We're going to bring a certain spirit and certain quality that hopefully makes our fans proud.
Hey, Coach, commiserations on the loss again. But how do you go ahead of this match in midweek and pick the boys up to make sure that they are ready mentally ahead of a tough schedule?
I think our players are quite intelligent. I think every one of them experienced the game. They felt confident in the game. They believe they could have even won the game in certain stages. Unfortunate to take that goal in so late. I believe that because of their youth and because of their enthusiasm and because of their potential that they possess, I believe that they will just bounce back very quickly. I'm the kind of coach that I'm very, very quick in lifting the players up psychologically. So I do believe that once I'm in the locker room and I can talk to them, this game will be put quickly behind us and we can only learn from it. And sometimes you learn a lot more from your defeats than your success. And it was a few occasions today that in dangerous positions that we went with the ball in duels. And that's where Pacific got their best chances. And we didn't get punished in the first half and we got punished in the second half. And I'm sure this will sting for a while and they'll learn from it.
Aisling Goatby there, just talking about Vancouver FC's first match in the Canadian Championship. Hopefully they can get the job done. Would love the first ever Vancouver derby. I mean, whether it's at BC Place, ideally in Langley, just to have the more intimate atmosphere. And to be honest, I think the Whitecaps would prefer that as well, as opposed to just a big void of BC Place. Even if they say, look, let's play it at Swangard instead, just to have a packed crowd. Maybe I'm being a bit too nice about how the Whitecaps want to approach this, but surely you want an atmosphere for an occasion like that. But wherever it's played, it's just a tremendous occasion.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to
jumping ahead of myself.
Yeah, I don't want to think about it too much until.
Well, that's fine. Wait till we hear from James Merriman and Manny Aparicio even, where I'm like, so you've got a path to the final of being at home. I was like, we're just one game at a time.
No, yeah, for me, it's this York game is huge this week because that'll shape things for these weeks ahead.
Yeah.
It is one game at a time, and so I'm honestly not even thinking. I'm literally not as a supporter, not even thinking about any of that stuff. It's like this is I've
got everything planned. TSS beat Valor. They're off to play Pacific. Then they host the Whitecaps.
Yeah, so obviously you have faulty planning, but like I said, I'm not thinking about. Seriously, the York game is huge. You're right. The York game is huge, and I look forward to because it's 4:30. I might be able to watch most of it.
I'm really pissed off. It's the same night as the TSS game. I would really have liked to enjoy this.
Will you be able to watch a little bit while you're getting ready, or no?
I might be able to. There's so much up in the air for this.
Wait,
TSS
you got to do so much
game.
heavy lifting that night.
Yeah. Because if anyone doesn't know, I'm acting as the media officer for TSS for this game against Valor.
But I think, isn't it? You're not acting as the media, but you are.
Oh, I am the media officer, yeah. But yeah, the big one is Wednesday night. It's TSS and Valor. 7:30-ish kickoff is now what we're told. There's so many stories for this one. Polisi versus Polisi was what I was hoping for. It looks like Marcello might have an injury.
An niggle?
Maybe out. Did not feature in the 18 for Valor today.
That's right, yeah.
And I think he might be missing this one. And Jordan Haynes, I believe, is also touch and go.
Oh, that's right.
He wasn't in the 18 today either. That was the two TSS returning players for one thing. But this is a big game for TSS. It's a chance for players to showcase themselves, guys that want to get back into the pro game, guys that want to make that breakthrough into the pro game. There's a lot of hungry guys there. Check the AFTN YouTube channel. We've got a lot of good audio up from TSS players, Marcello Polisi as well. I was going to put it in this, but it's a long enough podcast, so you can check all that out on the YouTube channel. But I'm going to play some audio from both head coaches now. Philip DeSantis from Valor FC and Will Cromack from TSS, just previewing the game and what they're expecting from the CPL versus League One BC battle.
And a row,
So, well, a couple of days out now from this big Canadian Championship game. Are you still kind of pinching yourself that the club's in this position?
Yeah, you have to. I mean, it's crazy. We got guys in a dressing room in a local community park, and we're about to play a pro team that was on TV yesterday. Not sure that was the best idea for me to watch that game, but yeah, no, it's fantastic, right? I mean, it's amazing to see, especially for a guy like me who's been in this local area and in the sport for so long, to watch it grow again and start having a chance to be something.
I messaged you at half time of the game, you and Colin, saying, "Oh, you must be quaking in your boots," sarcastically, because Valor didn't look great in the first half. They turned it on in the second half.
Yeah.
Big physical team. Couple of really standout players. Their new signing, number 24, the Burundi International Pacifique. He looks really good. What did you make from what you saw, without giving away any of your game plan, although I don't think they're going to be listening to this, but what did you make of them?
Listen, we know the DeSantos brothers, have a lot of respect for him. Phil, is someone who's been in NASL, he's been in USL. He's organized, man. That's an organized team that knows what they're doing. He's now had a year with them, knows what he's up against as well. And I'm saying the coach, but some of the players as well. They're well drilled, and respect. Ultimately, is what we're saying. Like, we don't care what we read on Twitter. Like, that's not our world. Our world is to go, hey, guys, you're about to go play a pro team. Respect them. Don't think that you can't do something. Respect the game. Okay, so in my mind, I know he'll have them ready, and he won't take us lightly. And none of those players, if they're proper pros, will take us lightly either. And it's our job to go in there and do everything we can.
You've got a lot of young, hungry guys. Some of them's played pro, want to go back. Some of them want to get that pro contract. There's a danger that some of them might think, I need to go and do too much out there, do everything themselves. How do you stop them being like that when they go on the pitch?
Well, I mean, you don't own them, so you can't stop them. You can only advise them, a bit like parenting, really. That's what coaching is kind of a little bit like at times. And especially if you've been on their side, you can kind of say, hey, listen, like, one game does not make a player. With that said, one moment can sometimes make a player. So again, it's just respecting the game. Like, don't ever try to be more than you. Just be 100% you. And give yourself the opportunity to be at your best. If you're trying to do someone else's job, that's not going to be you at your best. You're trying to split yourself. So our sense of it is 23 guys, 18 will get to dress. Everybody's going to be needed.
Just the last thing for now. Where does this rank for the club? How important is this to the actual club to get the eyes, to get people to know about TSS Rovers and any future plans that you might have as a club?
Yeah, I've said before, the job here is kind of like reaching base camp of Everest. You've got to this certain point, and there's a future of potentially going up the hill, but hopefully not going back down the hill. So we've reached this point. It's the napkin has come true, the real napkin, I might add, So is it important? It's critical for the exposure of these boys, and that's what we've always been about: teaching excellence, trying to, as humans, as players, using the sport of soccer as a vehicle. And I think people do know us, and fan ownership and stuff. But yeah, if we can be on TV, all the more power to us, and the people that do own it, and the players. They get to be seen. So that our job is to connect them with the fans, and this is a great opportunity to have that happen.
Hopefully you've still got that napkin. Canada Soccer Hall of Fame one day. Right, that's what I want to see.
I think I blew my nose on it.
All right. That's great. Cheers. Well.
Cheers, man.
Canadian Championship game is coming up on the 19th. It'll be your second game of the season. TSS Rovers' first game of the year, first competitive game. Now, you've been involved in this, obviously here with the Whitecaps. You've been involved in it last year with Valor. You've been on both sides of it, where you're going in as the favourites, where you've gone in as the underdogs. What are you expecting from this game? You're going to be playing a team that's really up for it and hungry, and with players that's going to be out there just to try and impress and get into the CPL?
I expect a fight. We haven't spoken about that game because I think the next one is York. So I don't want us to start having our heads in the next 2, 3, 4 games. As coaches, yes, we plan things and we know that there's a pattern. It's a big week and we need to manage loads, and there's things that we're going to need to do to make sure that we fill in the best team for the different games. But we expect a fight. We know it's going to be very difficult. We know that we'll play a team that has nothing to lose. I hate being in that situation because I've been in it a couple times, and it's one of those that you don't like as a manager. And then there's the whole factor that you don't get much about these teams. You don't get to see what type of identity they have, what type of dynamics they play with. And yes, there's games of last year, but you're so far from the reality when you're looking at previous year footage. And so, yeah, we expect a fight. One thing I could tell you already is that we are preparing it like a league game, like a final, a playoff game. Any player that I feel throughout the process that shows a little sign of being overconfident and maybe slacking a little bit leading to that game, I guarantee you won't be on the field. So for us, it's that important. I look at the path to what this Canadian Championship looks like, and again, like the same way I said, I would love to bring a playoff game to IG Field. I would also love to bring a Canadian Championship game to IG Field. So for that, we need to start by winning the first one, and we're very aware of the challenges we're going to have against the SS Rovers.
Phil DeSantis and Will Cromack there talking about TSS Rovers and Valor FC on Wednesday night. TSS Rovers' first foray into the tournament. It's something everyone that's been involved with TSS have been just wanting for so long. They've now got that position. They've now got that first ever League One BC spot, and they want to give a good account from themselves. They know it's not going to be easy, and I mean, Valor have to be the favourites, and they did look good in that second half. If TSS can get that early goal, deal with the physicality, it should be a great night. The Swan Guardians will be in full voice. Looks like it's going to be raining, so that might dampen stuff behind the goals, but they're hoping for 1,500 to 2,000 in attendance. A lot of walk-ups as well, some youth groups coming along. They need to get the fans in. It's costing 35,000 roughly to put this game on. They want to host it. Come along, buy your ticket, support. You can also buy a ticket and donate it to youth clubs to try and get underprivileged youth to come along as well. And yeah, it should be a great occasion. I cannot wait, Zach.
It will be a special night at Swan.
Yeah. Thursday sees the third BC side, Pacific FC, host Cavalry at Starlight Stadium. Double header against Cavalry in Cup and League action. 7 p.m. kickoff in that one. Now, that should be a cracking game. I fancy Pacific, just with how they looked at the weekend, but I think that there's goals in that one, feistiness in that one. I think that's going to be a cracker.
Oh yeah, I think it's nice for those sides when we talk about travel and whatever, that just like Vancouver FC with York, that they have these back-to-back cup and league kind of double headers.
Yeah.
And so I think that's going to be a great match.
Pacific would host the quarter-final if they won. Cavalry may, because again they couldn't host in this round, so are they allowed to host the next round? Technically, if they're not, and TSS win and Cavalry win, TSS could be hosting Cavalry again. Everything's up in the air. Nobody has a clue what's going on. Got a chance to chat with James Merriman and Manny Aparicio after that win at the weekend. Just chatting about what the Canadian Championship means to them. The special night that we had a few years ago when the Whitecaps went there. They've had their taster of being in the CONCACAF League. It was a CONCACAF League. They want to get back into the Champions League, and there's 2 spots up for grabs for the CPL. There could be 3, depending how the Canadian Championship goes. Here's what they had to say about that. Hey James, congratulations on the win today. Unbeaten in BC derbies now against Vancouver teams, it seems.
Thanks. Are you counting the friendly or yeah? No.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I could do that as well. I was more thinking the Whitecaps game.
No, I know.
But yeah,
is purple for now again, I guess.
It is, I guess. Looking ahead then to the Canadian Championship, obviously that Whitecaps game, it was a special night at Starlight. I think everyone that was there, it'll long live in the memory. You've got a chance with the way that the draws worked out to create a number of memories this season if things go well for you. Knowing that you have got this possibility to be at home all the way to the final. I know you don't want to look ahead too much, but it must give you a big boost for this competition.
It does in terms of the confidence and that we have at our home. In this stadium, we can be really difficult to play against, and we know that and we feel that. But at the same time, you really can't look past the first match, and that absolutely has to be our mentality collectively with the staff, with the group, with every single player, because that's cup competition. So we know what the schedule could be. But again, it's one match at a time, and it's all focused on Calgary for right now.
When you look at what is in store for you guys this season, but also what this season could lead to, there's 2 teams guaranteed in the Champions League. Could be a third, depending on how the Canadian Championship goes. You've had that taste of that competition in the CONCACAF League. Has it just left you wanting more and more of that?
Absolutely. It's the number one goal and focus for us this season is to get back there. Whether we win the league, whether we get into the playoffs and win a championship, or can do it through the Canadian Championship, we know that there's three different ways to get there. But it's absolutely our focus. It's something that we're going after, and we want more of. We want more experiences like that, and that's where all the players want to be as well on that stage. So we're going after it for sure.
That's great. Cheers, James, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
Hey Manny, just a couple of questions about the Canadian Championship for you. When you look at the draw this year, Pacific has got the chance to host all the way to the final. And I know you guys don't want to get too far ahead of yourself, but we've already seen some special occasions there. When the Whitecaps came over, it was a momentous occasion, an atmosphere at the stadium. What does this draw mean to you with a chance to be at home all the way to the final?
Yeah, it's a huge opportunity. But like you said, we don't really want to get too far ahead of ourselves. We do know that at home we are tough to beat. We tried to make a fortress here, and with our fans and the size of our pitch and with how energetic we are, I think we are a very tough team to beat here at home. But yeah, like you said, we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. First game is Calgary. And that's who we have to beat to get to the next round, and hopefully that's what we do.
What does the competition mean to you on a personal level? Because when you look around now and you see the chance that there's going to be 2 Canadian teams for sure in the Champions League next year, could be a third one depending how the Canadian Championship goes. What does this tournament and the chance to advance and play in these further competitions mean to you as a player?
Yeah, when we played in Jamaica and in Costa Rica, it was, amazing experiences, amazing stadiums that we played in. And those are the games we tried to get back into. So to have more opportunities to get in is huge for us and huge for the league. So, if we can keep on going forward and maybe get an opportunity to get back in there, be it, through league, through playoffs, through Canadian Championship, we have 3 ways in now. So it's even more exciting. And I think, the guys who experienced it here last year know that, it could be a very special thing if we can get back into CONCACAF.
That's great. Thanks so much, Manny, and good luck midweek.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
James Merriman, Manny Aparicio. James with that comment there about BC being purple. Oh, so Zach's face with anger right now.
It's so unlike you to misrepresent me.
Oh, I've got a big purple thing to show you. Hold on a sec. No, we'll save that to off camera. It's just an aubergine. Or eggplant, as I believe you guys call it here for some weird reason. I don't know why. But that is pretty much it for the show. Another bumper show. We have to finish, though, with this week's wavelength. No, despite the letters, we have to. Contractually obligated to do wavelength by myself. And we're going back to a song from 2000 by an English band featuring members of Razor Cuts, Heavenly, a band I love and keep meaning to have as Artist of the Month, and TV personalities, who we just had as Artist of the Month very recently. This is a band called Sportique, and it's a song called Sport for All. It was a double A-sided single. There was a Euro 2000 version, all about football, and an Olympic 2000 version about other sport. We're obviously playing the football one. This is Sportique, Sport for All. Sportique there, Sport for All. That was this week's wavelength. That is it for the show. I'm tired. It's been a busy weekend of football. I've got this podcast to edit, my East 5 podcast to edit, TSS training tomorrow and Tuesday. Busy, busy, busy. Not to mention 2 provincial cup games that I've got to get the video edited for as well. I might get some sleep in there. Who might even see my wife. I've hardly seen her this weekend. Never seen her look happier. But just before we go, any final thoughts from you, Zach? Any final musings from the fun weekend that you've had?
No, I just want to say thanks to everyone that made it out to Starlight to support Vancouver FC. It was good to have a first real outing with Fraser Valley Fanatics and support together. It's been a fun beginning. There's lots of things to do and lots of work to do and lots of things that we're trying to get done, but it's a great community of people who are from kind of across the spectrum of the supporter culture in the Lower Mainland. So it's been really great to just be a part of bringing all these people together to support this new club. And
is that another way that you can support them as well, visually, with your T-shirts?
Oh yeah.
I was waiting for the plug, and it's like just never came. It's like plug the T-shirts.
I was getting to that.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
I didn't know you were getting to anywhere really. I just thought you were in a tired ramble.
No. Okay, yeah. So there's a T-shirt. Yeah, if you want, pre-orders are I think just up till this Friday. Check out the Facebook page. I don't know if it's on Twitter yet, but it'll be on Twitter as well. There's
on Facebook. I can't believe you've got a T-shirt out before AFTN did. I keep saying every year we're going to get one. I need to speak to Andrew actually and work out like how that came about. Or was that you that got that?
Got what?
The T-shirt sorted.
No, no, I no. Andrew's the money man. Will Silver of AFTN fame is
Long John to his friends.
He's the designer and deals with a local manufacturer who makes the shirts for us. But no, it's T-shirts are $25. It's literally a black shirt with a white version of the logo. And all the proceeds from it go to help, visual displays. The fun part, as we were talking earlier, in the middle, in between segments, is we got a message for a shirt from a good friend who I haven't had the pleasure to see in a while. But everyone's friend, right? Everyone's friend in the Lower Mainland, right? He's everyone's friend.
I like him. I used to have a card of his. How
did I know you were going to say? Anyways, yeah. So no, Eric Hasley sent a message saying, "I want one of those shirts." So we'll make sure Eric gets one, and we'll encourage him to wear it around Montana.
Yeah. So if you want to be part of Zach's black shirts,
Michael,
get in touch with him on Facebook.
No, but in all seriousness, it's been great because this one of the things about the supporter community is like the cause is supporting your club, right? Like that is the cause. That's the heart of why you're there. But in the midst of it, you build relationships. So for me, having been kind of not involved in the community for a number of years now, it's been nice to re-engage and to re-engage with people I know well, and to re-engage in those relationships and hang out more and stuff. So this weekend there was a whole bunch of people who, got to hang out with that I haven't hung out with in like forever. And then also just to build new relationships, people like I know, but I didn't know well. And so getting to hear their stories and more about them as people, and then just supporting together, and then just meeting new people I've never known, or people I've only known because they come up and say they've listened to the podcast. And then get to know them and hear their story and support with them. And so it's just been it was a really great first competitive match, because there's been some friendlies where we were just kind of hanging out and having fun, but this was the first real deal. And building up to May 7th, there's a lot more excitement, and maybe in next week's podcast I'll be able to share a little bit more if people want to get more involved with supporting or be in the section or whatever. Hopefully I'll have some more details on that maybe next week. But for now, fvfanatics@gmail.com or on Twitter or on Facebook. And now that there's some visual stuff to share, we'll probably see Instagram pop up soon as well for that.
The good thing as well is I'm thinking FVF could turn that second F into an A and get an M put in there, and we've got Football Violence Awareness Month shirts already done. Have a wee chat with Will, see what we can bastardize to get that made up. That would be fantastic.
You do that.
Okay, maybe get a picture of you somewhere on it. I think
no,
there's some pictures doing the rounds.
No picture of me.
No picture of you. Okay. I want to finish on a nice thing and say something nice about Zach. I don't know what's happened. I said I was tired. There's been a lot of nice comments on Twitter about you today and the role that you've played in helping grow the support community for this new team. And I just want to say you've done a great job. It was fantastic to see everything come together on Saturday. It's been a pleasure knowing you. I'm not dying or anything. It's been a pleasure knowing you over the years, and like what you do for the supporter community and the passion that you bring to it. And I really hope that everything goes well on that May 7th opener, which I am still pissed off that I have to miss. But I am working, so I am making money and doing football stuff. But it's like everyone was basically saying just how hard you've worked to put this together, and everything seemed to go really well on Saturday, so well done.
Yeah, it's strange getting compliments from you.
I know, it was strange saying it. I kind of, the words leaving my mouth, I felt dirty.
The only thing I'll seriously say is, and this is the same from back in the day when I was doing other things, is people say, oh, you've done this or you've done that, but like literally, and the reason why we used to use the term collective is none of this stuff happens because of one individual. There's like, no. Sure, you see one person or a couple people with a megaphone and a drum and whatever, but it's literally
walk the other way.
No, yeah, there you go. Some people do, and that's okay. But no, it's literally like, I mean, things are building now, but it literally these things happen because Gail and Adrienne and her mom and Cheryl were sewing. It happened because Kirk and Gail and Brendan painted. It happened because a whole group of people helped set it up beforehand. It happened because a whole bunch of people signed up for our email list to find out what was going on and to be a part of things. It happened because Andrew was willing to be the money man to receive the money to buy the tickets. There's all these are just parts of the moving thing that it takes a whole group of people to make this happen. It takes a collective effort to make it happen. And so whenever people say nice things about me, it's hard not to also just say like, yeah, these things happen because there's so many other moving parts and there's so many other people doing both heavy lifting and light lifting and whatever. And I'm just excited I'm excited about the group of people that have come together and to be a part of it, and hope to do even more things with them and continue to grow a community that is passionate about supporting their local football club. And it's just nice to have a fresh start at this in the Lower Mainland with a team that is geographically close to where I live.
Yeah.
And it's nice to honestly, and we'll break this down another time. It's nice to have a football club I can believe in. And for now, that's partly why this is so exciting. And
like in all seriousness, for me, that's TSS. That's what they've done for me. I'm really excited by it, and it's like it's great that we're both got this exciting little period that's coming up of first ever game, first Canadian Championship game, first home game for Vancouver FC, momentous occasion for TSS on Wednesday night as well, and that's what football's about. You want these occasions, and hopefully we get meaningful games for the Whitecaps as well at some point down the line in the future, because it's felt far too long. Canadian Championship last year aside, it's been far too long. I mean, that's like one game since 2017 maybe that's been really, really, truly meaningful, and that's way too long for a fan base.
Yeah, TSS. It's their first time being defending champions going into a season, right? Like, there's a lot of exciting things. You're right.
It should be a lot of fun. So thank you for being with us as we've talked about so many things in Canadian football in this episode, and of course, not to mention East Fife's 8-0 win against Stranraer. But we'll be back with another episode soon. Until then, thanks for listening. Take care, everybody, and just mon everything about BC and Canadian football.
Going to your first match is an experience you never forget. The atmosphere of what's going on around the pitch looks beautiful, and you always look and go, wow, I'd love to play here one day. If you get the bug, it's going to stay with you for life.
More than a name, that's what we AFTN